Good evening. Looks like we don't have anybody signed up. Perfect. Comments. We're going to go ahead and get started and try to move through this agenda pretty quick. Since there are no speakers, I would like to move forward on the agenda. Item 6B in front of the consent agenda so that we can hear from the engineer that submitted his qualifications to be the engineer for the district. If you wouldn't mind, thank you. Do we have a speaker up there, David? Here you go. I'll share with Kelly.
Is that what the charge?
All right.
Thank you. If you want to just go ahead and introduce yourself, and we'll try to throw some questions your way.
Perfect. My name is Jacob Valentine with Westwood Professional Services, and I just want to thank you all for the opportunity to be here today and get the opportunity to submit our qualifications and see if we can be the right fit for y'all for your district engineering. As you saw in our SOQ, we're very multidisciplinary. My background is in water, wastewater, and district engineering work. My task here is growing our business in Central Texas from the public infrastructure side. Up in the DFW area, we've got probably 30 or 35 districts that we represent. But here in Central Texas, this would be our first. My background, 10 plus years in Houston, district engineer, lift stations, water, wastewater plants, everything of the nature that you have going on in your district. Even had a district that had their own 2 parks and managing that. So kind of understand what y'all are going through. I've listened to some of your board meetings just to figure out what all you have cooking. So that's kind of my background, our engineering background. We have all the services you would need. Adriana is here. She's our landscape architect in Austin. One of 2. So we have 2 landscape architects in our Austin office. And we have someone starting on Monday who will be the landscape lead in Austin. And he has over 20 years of experience with the city of Austin doing their parks. So I think we have some experience there that can at least be a sounding board just to help you guys out. Just from what I picked up about what you guys have going on in the district, your emergency repairs at the Hatch lift station, lead and copper rule revision. Let's see, just apparently mapping dog stations around the district.
We have a map for that.
So all of those things are stuff that we can easily jump into and help out and just be here for y'all on that. So I don't think anything that y'all have going on would be new or something that would be difficult for us to get absorbed into pretty quickly. So with that, I'll take any questions that you guys have.
David, do you have any questions?
You touched on the lead and copper. It's something that is new. How far, I guess it's new for everybody.
Everybody.
How far into the process are you with other districts that you have?
So it varies. A lot of our newer districts, it's very easy to submit an inventory because they were built, within the last 10 years, and you have those records. For the mature districts, there's a little bit more background that it's needed. The TCEQ is still figuring it out. So they're rolling out guidelines and practices and having webinars over this fall, because the deadline is October 16th, 2024 to submit an inventory. So the short answer is it varies across districts, and it's a lot easier if people have records and you can see what the plumbing code was in the area at the time.
Right.
So
how far in advance do you think it would take to get that work submitted? How much time are you looking for? Because I'd rather have it a little on the tail end side of it, in my opinion, so everybody gets these little bumps out.
Sure.
and we kind of take advantage of that. How much time do you think you need? Our last engineer stated that most of the district, except the oldest ones, there is record on it, and that we would only need to spot check a percentage of the district. So I'm just wondering how much time frame you think it would take.
So, your district's not terribly large. I think you have like 1,900 connections. Exactly. It's going to come down to records. So from our communications we've had with the TCEQ, they even emailed us this like funnel diagram. And what they really want most people to do is stay at the top of the funnel, which is like step 1 and step 2, being plumbing code research, building code research. And if you can prove that, they really want to minimize actual excavation and disturbances, which is like the very bottom tip. So my engineering answer is it depends based on what data we can pull and validate that 90% of the district clearly doesn't have lead or copper.
Yeah.
I don't know how much work your previous engineer has done. I know that in some of the meeting minutes it was like they were asking Cedar Park for some data. I don't know if they got the data. If we had all the data and we just needed to create an inventory, probably less than 2 months to have it all compiled. The communications we did also have with TCEQ was it's a living and breathing document. So we can submit to them, and if we come across more data or information, we can update that document.
Yeah, my biggest concern is the lift hash station that we have ongoing. It's something that I'm guessing you're going to be okay with just jumping in and taking care of that aspect of it.
Sorry, did I hear you right? The lift station?
The lift station, yeah, the hash lift station.
So I don't know much other than what was in the very brief engineering reports. It sounded like a pump failed, and y'all had to issue like an emergency repair to get TCEQ approval to go in and do the work. You have a contractor working on it currently. That's nothing crazy. In the Houston area, there's lift stations like every block.
Yeah.
So a lot of my early career was working on all kinds of various lift stations and handling them through construction. So sure, there's a little download period, like what is the full scope, what has the contractor done and have not done, a site visit. But jumping into that really shouldn't be a big problem.
Kelly?
Yeah, David addressed my main question also about being able to jump in kind of mid-project on the hatch lift station. And obviously very interested in your landscape architect and what kind of support.
They do the fun stuff that looks good.
Fun stuff that looks good. What kind of support can you guys provide to us as far as installing a new playground and making sure that we're compliant with every applicable regulation?
So I'll start and say that I'm not very good with a wrench, so install's not what we'll do.
No.
But as far as planning, design, and getting the right contractor on board that has the right certifications, that's standard practice.
Yeah, that's our entire team. So we are all over Texas, and our entire team has multiple experiences with size of the projects, and most of our projects we've worked on with playgrounds. We'll bring in manufacturers, we'll work directly with them, and then not only will we work with them, but we'll work with any ADA accessibility that will go with those playgrounds. So we oversee all of that aspect if we do have playgrounds on the project. So that's a big, huge background that we have with all of our offices and teams. So it's nothing new that we haven't seen before. So we've had it on most of our multifamilies and residentials that we've done.
Wonderful, because it seems like there's just multi-layers of regulations for this, for different state agencies, and we want to make sure, of course, that we get all our bases covered. So we're meeting with a vendor tomorrow. I mean, if we were to hire someone who, not necessarily that this is the one, but would you then partner with that person and qualify that person, or how would that work?
As far as the manufacturers y'all are wanting to use for that product, yeah, we would work directly with them. We usually work directly with either representative or who they have in the region, which we do with a lot of our products that we like to use for projects. We usually like to always work directly, and then we like to control, especially depending on what kind of product you like to go for the playground. We would control essentially what items are being picked, if those meet with all the standards, and then it would almost, at every step of approval, would need to be done essentially directly with the representative of the manufacturer.
Okay, and you also have vendors who you work with who you can recommend as well?
Yeah, we do.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so we have a big presence up in DFW also, that we have a lot of manufacturers that we have a lot of relationships over a decade. So we have, and then they have representatives here too.
Okay.
So there are different representatives in the region, but essentially we have those connections with the manufacturers already.
Okay, so if we were to put out an RFP, for instance, kind of tell me how that would work. Would you guys handle those submissions, or we handle them and turn them over to you?
So, you mind if I?
Sure. Yeah.
It depends
Okay.
on what you guys want. From what I've listened to, which I haven't listened to all your meetings, but I know there is a concern about district expenditures. So, we're not just going to sit back and bill a bunch of hours on something unless that's what you'd like. But a good practice is, especially on something like that, where you're wanting to hire the right person and you want the scope to match your vision, and then you want to make sure that it meets all the requirements. We could help you craft that RFP document to say exactly what it is that you're asking for, so that you get apples to apples and not maybe apples for one guy and oranges from another guy. And that applies for your parks, that applies for doing a lift station job that's not during an emergency. We'll put scope together for a project, run it by you guys, make sure everything's kosher with what you're wanting. And then, we can distribute it to the vendors or the contractors, get feedback, get pricing, and then bring those results to you. And that way you know that your vision's being met, it's going to be done with the right regulations and safety requirements, and it's a reputable vendor.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you.
I'm glad that you watched a few meetings. That always is helpful.
I'm not going to lie, your last one was a little long.
Yeah, they get long. And what we're going to do...
Are we going to go play pickleball afterwards, though?
You can.
Okay.
Because membership for a non-resident isn't that expensive, but we'll sell you a membership. But I do, and what we will do, I don't believe that we need you to attend every meeting. What we do need from you, though, monthly, is a report on the status of the projects that you're overseeing, like the Hatch Lift Station, like a park playground, when that's on the agenda. And then there will be occasions, I'm certain, where we'll want to actually talk to you and ask you to come to a meeting.
Sure.
But we are trying to reduce the cost, the administrative overhead of these meetings, and one way to do that is to bring our by the hour consultants to the top of the agenda, get them done, and then send them on their way. Not because we don't like you, you can stay on your own time, but we don't want to pay you to sit through an entire lengthy meeting. So that's kind of how we operate there. And that Hatch Lift Station is a serious problem at this point in our district. And we don't have anybody overseeing the contractor who's doing the work. So that would be your probably jump off. That's where you'd have to start.
Okay.
The leading copper, based on billing from our last engineer, is way into the process. They've identified properties that they would have to actually physically look at.
Okay.
Maybe you can find documents to prevent us from having to dig up those yards. That would be ideal.
Sure.
And Cole told me earlier that he did get a flash drive from our last engineer with all of our documents. So if you wouldn't mind, Cole, just, I don't know how you're going to give it to me. I can deliver it to him or something, but we'll get that to you as a starting point of what you need to look at. And then somewhere in the next 2 weeks, I would like to meet with you directly.
Sure.
I'll come to your office, and I want to talk to you about that Hatch Lift Station.
Okay.
I'm building a timeline of events on that thing, and I do want your professional opinion about that lift station. Other than that, your qualifications are perfect. I can't argue that. And I wouldn't know a good price from a bad price, so we're just going to have to go with it and hope that we can only use your services when we need your services and not tie you up in a lot of administrative stuff that you don't need to be doing.
Look, that's music to my ears.
I know. And then that would be a great way to get your feet wet into MUDs in the Austin area.
Perfect.
So I don't really have any other questions for you at this time. So we do have a contract. Cole, you looked at that contract, right? And it's sitting right here. So all we need to do is execute this contract. If you have any questions for us, we're happy to entertain them.
I really don't at this time.
No?
Happy to get the files and dig into the Hatch Lift Station and see what we got to do.
Okay, I really like that. This has no signature page on it, so.
go 2 pages up.
So it does.
So they'll sign this. So the way we'll do it is, if you all approve this motion, approve the contract, execute it, I'll hold on to it, and then Jacob will send me his firm's signature pages, and I'll put them together and have one wet contract for everybody.
Okay, would one of you like to make a motion to accept this contract?
Move to accept the contract for Westwood Professional Services. Is that it? No.
That's it?
Yeah.
I will second that. Any discussion? More? No? Vote? All in favor? All in favor.
Thank you.
We will get this back to you. Cole will get this back to you, and we will talk soon.
Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you for
I am going
coming.
to stick around and just listen.
You
if
may
don't
do
mind.
that if you'd like. Okay. In that same vein, we're going to go next to the accountant's report. And Lisa is here tonight with her friend, but he's gone. Oh, there he is.
Well, thank you. We have Ashley on Teams, and Ashley is going to actually deliver the report. And then after that, I'll share some additional information with you.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome. Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday.
Hey,
my
Ashley.
report is online, both the regular version and the redacted version, because that's what gets put online, but we keep both for records. If you go to page 2, I have your summary of funds. I can say that I do have your GOF text pool and Austin, your money markets are fully reconciled up. I'm about halfway through your cadences now, and the central. I'm about halfway through the fiscal year on those now. So lots of progress, got a lot of stuff posted. These are in italics your estimated balances. So those might fluctuate a little, but they should be pretty close to what they actually are. Going to the next page, you will see, the next 2 pages is your cash flow. For all your checks, there are some voids here at the top that are getting reissued. Then the wire that we will be requesting to cover checks. In all the blue, you will see all the payroll that has been processed since the last meeting. That's fees for the last meeting, along with Kelly's additional stuff, and then all the security. And if you'll notice on the last one for Eduardo Maldonado, that is his final invoice. So that's complete now. No more, I believe that's roving patrol. We're presenting checks 6102 to 6140 today for your approval, excluding check 37. That one slipped in by mistake. We have voided it, and then we will be holding check 6128 for final approval. We are getting all the invoices now, I think we're finally good on that. But if you do notice anything that we should be paying that's still missing, let me know. I think Mackenzie got me everything now. I'm still working on getting an AVB. It's super close now. There's pretty much 2 items that I'm working on, but one of them touches several accounts. So it's completely inaccurate until I can figure that last thing out. But that is close, and it should be complete to be able to send out to the auditor on time. That's my report. Please let me know if you have any questions or direct them to Lisa.
Ashley, I do have something for you. All the payroll disbursements, we don't have, other than Kelly's fees of office from 4/25 to 9/13. We don't have any of the other supporting documents. We don't have the constable or the roving patrols timesheets, if you will, for lack of a better term. And there is,
I can upload those.
please do, and there is still a concern for me about the fees of office that were paid on 9/18 for Hanoi, David, and myself. I know that I did not submit a fees of office form for the meeting on 9/18 until this meeting. So I don't know, I don't want automatic checks cut for fees of office. We have to submit a form requesting that before those fees are paid. And now Kelly has put 9/13 was probably unless I look at it, I won't know, but I think that was probably a committee meeting. Because the board meeting was on 9/18. Did you get paid for your 9/18 meeting, a check around 200?
That meeting got moved up to the 13th.
Yeah.
You all met on the
Oh.
6th and the
The board
13th.
meeting was the.
Okay, so the board meeting was on the 13th. Okay, well, that has not, I did not submit that until this month for my fees of office. And I did not cash that check because I knew I hadn't submitted a request for it. So if your direct deposit, it would have automatically gone in. So I need to see, Ashley, I want to see what documentation you have for producing those checks.
So that's actually my decision, since the meetings are recorded and we have a record of, when you sign the documents, it says, I attest to the fact that I attended this meeting. So here in the report is now the opportunity to approve that, because that information wasn't in the last report. So even though it was issued in advance, we can certainly change that, but I am absolutely feel very strongly that we need to pay in a timely manner
Agreed.
for those, because I will tell you, and Cole can speak to this too, I deal with issues on a regular basis about how many per diems have been taken in a year. Have they been, if you wait 2 years to turn them in, and that
Yeah, that
equals
doesn't-
$7,800, even though it's 2 years' worth, we can't pay more than $7,200.
I understand.
So we want those things to be up to date, and you're approving that at this meeting, unless you say otherwise, Cole. I think because of the fact that we have a documented version of their attendance at the meeting, and the fact that they now have an opportunity to say yay or nay in approving the report.
I would like to say that we have a policy in this district that you have to complete that form. You have to send that form forward to the bookkeeper. I appreciate that you need timely submission. That we can give you, that we can assure you. But there are some meetings that we do not claim a per diem for. So to automatically generate a payment is not the way to go. That's why we have, I think it's even by resolution for our board meeting procedures that we have to submit that document. It is the receipt for the check.
So, yeah, you all, I don't know if you have that policy. I'd have to go back and look to see. That would just be a board policy. All of our districts, what we do is we have the bookkeeper cuts a check for that meeting. If the director wasn't at the previous meeting, we simply void that check. Or we, meaning the collective we. That check is simply voided. But typically, when you all sign your first per diem of the year, typically bookkeepers, well, I don't want to speak for Lisa here, but oftentimes I'll see directors will send in their reimbursement form at the beginning of the year, and it's their mileage and what it takes to get to the meeting. That number pretty much stays the same most of the time, because most of the time the directors are coming from their house or their office to the meeting, and so the mileage is the same. So we use those same numbers for mileage-wise for the check, if there's any mileage. Otherwise, you just get paid the flat per diem of $220.
The reason this doesn't work, let me interrupt you we'll just nip it. If you look at Kelly's fees of office, it doesn't just include her meeting attendance at the general board meeting. It includes all of her committee meetings and all the other meetings. So she has to submit a form for that anyways.
Of course.
Which is exactly why she picks up the board meeting she attended at the same time. And if she chooses not to be reimbursed for something, that's annotated on that form. She just doesn't put an X in that box to be reimbursed. Every check needs to be substantiated with a receipt. The receipt is the form for fees of office. It is the attesting to having been at that meeting, be it a committee meeting or a board meeting. So we shouldn't be automatically cutting checks, because then Lisa would still have the same problem if Kelly held on to her committee meeting recording and fees of office requests for 2 years. It would still create a problem for Lisa. What I'd like to do is suggest that we, every single month, every director is required to submit their form of committee meetings and board meetings for that month to Lisa by the 5th of the month, like every other contractor, in order to be picked up on the next bills and invoice cycle.
And what do we do if that director does not?
Well,
What is our, is there a
They-
consequences there?
They wait till the next one.
They wait till the next one?
but at some point, she's gonna have to cut it off, because when the year ends, we don't want the accountant to have to keep track of
I
how
agree.
much did you get in this year,
I
and now
agree.
you're asking for more for this year. It becomes problematic for the bookkeeper. I
Cool.
definitely understand what she's saying.
Is there, can we withhold director's fees if we do not submit them in a timely manner and we won't pay them out? Is that,
I mean, I've never heard of that scenario because,
everybody does it kind of?
yeah. Yeah.
But-
Or they.
Or
I
it's
mean,
automatically a cut check.
just for the regular board meeting,
Right.
it's automatically prepared, and if they're not there, the director will rip it up or say, I'm not here. Or if the bookkeeper knows that the director was not at that regular board meeting, they just won't write a check for that person. They'll write them for the directors who were there based on the reporting. But for any type of committee meeting or anything done outside of a regular board meeting, no one will know what's done unless a report is issued to the bookkeeper. So the bookkeeper is not going to ever cut a check for anything just
Right.
verbally. They would have to get the receipt of that, yeah.
But if a director came back and the director's not on the board anymore, came back and said, hey, I was at this, and this meeting, committee meeting 6 months later, are we gonna pay that? Or is it something that we can say, no, we're not paying?
Yeah, I don't think you would pay that.
We've had that happen before, which is exactly why we have a policy that requires that fees of office form to be
Yeah.
filled out, because that, we did get in that trap in 2020.
Yeah, and I agree, we have to be timely mannered, do it every month, so this way our books reflect and it's, everything is transparent and very visible to the
See,
public.
If I could just insert, for all of my districts, and this has worked out well, because most people, getting something back to us, or they forget, and I get it. I was a director for 17 years before I was a consultant, and I was probably one of the worst. So what we do is we would put together a document, and we would have, as we're preparing for this meeting, we would have this meeting up at the very top of the document. And then, like Cole said, normally we get to know your mileage. And of course, you can always change it and say, you know what, I didn't go this far, I went further. And then after that, because we're getting communicated on committee meetings, we're getting copied on everything, we see who's attending what meetings, we get minutes, we get any kind of additional meetings. So we're automatically filling those things. And then typically when we get to the meeting, sometimes board members will communicate to us and say, this is what I've attended. And so we put together a simple one-page document. I know I brought it the first day we were here, and that document has all of the dates listed. We fill it all in, and then we leave a few blanks so that if you do come and say, oh, and by the way, I had to do Open Meetings Act training, and so, oh, well, we didn't know about that, so, we'll add that in there, and then they sign it, and then that is the document that says, I attest that I have. It's a much shorter document, and it is something we prepare, so it doesn't put the responsibility on the board member. I'm just saying, this is what I do with all the
Right.
rest of my districts, and they seem to like it. If you guys, prefer to keep it the way you have, the TCEQ, and I believe it's the state, I guess it's the state code says there has to be, the board has to approve the per diem. And the
board members have to state, what was the purpose.
Right, and that form captures that information. And I don't think all of our meetings run through, or when you're scheduling meetings outside of financial, like for the Parks Committee or for infrastructure, you're not CCing Artisan, are you? So they wouldn't have those either.
We should be copied on as a bookkeeper, we should be kind of copied on everything, just so that we're aware for things like that. If you're thinking about spending money,
You want to know about
in
it.
some kind of way, even if you're not making a decision or even talking specifically about it. And that's why, we may not be engaged the whole time this meeting's going on, but Ashley sits here and watches the rest of this meeting, and I watch these meetings either live or I go back later and look at them. Because there's so much information that you sometimes don't even realize that the bookkeeper needs to be aware of. Something gets discussed later on, or somebody makes a decision later on that does impact our ability to do the best job that we can.
Well, what's going to happen with the fees of office form that I just submitted is that form includes that office or that meeting on 9/13, which you have already paid for. So you're going to have to be mindful not to pay it again. So I'd like to pull.
So you have that check. It's your choice. If you've not destroyed that check, you can keep that check and cash it because it doesn't matter when it was written. The minutes show your attendance at the meeting,
Right.
so that is a written document.
Right. No, I have not cashed that check for $204.09. I have not cashed that check because I did not submit a fees of office form for it. But this is what I want to do. I want to pull the policy about how a director can obtain a fee of office in this district, run it by Cole, let him figure out if that's the best way or not, and then move forward from there. I would like to ask that you don't cut a fee of office check for us three sitting here tonight and let us submit that form to you. And then what we'll do after he looks at that form is we will do a resolution for this board to submit their documents, and we will literally timestamp it so that the bookkeeper has it by the 5th of every month going forward, and that way she doesn't get behind in the bookkeeping and we're not crossing fiscal years for her.
Okay.
And that will help her, and it will keep our records straight as well. So let me make a note to pull that. All right, Ashley, it's all yours.
I think she was done.
Mhm.
Oh, she's done? Okay.
Yeah, and I just want to let you know, and Ashley, you can jump in any moment here, we tried really hard today to have actual versus budget, and we're almost there. Ashley, you might give them a little bit of an update as to where we are with the onboarding process?
Yeah, I think I mentioned that for the actual versus budget.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The full onboarding, it's just a lot of little things as I start going through stuff more and more, like down to every single month, because it is the whole fiscal year. It's just like little documents that maybe I can't locate or that just need to be shared, because there's always backup requests going from bookkeeper to bookkeeper that go on for months and months, because it is such a big transition. And it's going well. We have made a lot of progress. Things are much better now. It's just a lot. There's a lot going on in the district.
Ashley, did you get a flash drive of electronic information from Infomark
Yes.
Accounting? You did,
Yeah,
good.
it's a ton of information going back for 5 years.
Perfect.
It's a lot to sift through. I think I said to Mackenzie the other day, it's probably more than I needed, but like I said, it's like little documents. It's like very tiny things, because I'm getting down into all the nitty-gritty details of everything to make sure it's all going to be nice and clean for the auditor.
So tell me this, now that you have that much data, if I ask you to pull all checks written to X, Y, or Z. You can now do that? No, you,
For the
Lisa's
last
shaking her
year.
head.
Only for the
Only
last
for the
year.
last year. That's really problematic because when I'm looking at history and trying to build timelines, I need to go back at least 4 years. So how are we going to do that?
Well, I will
No,
tell you,
the operator would have that information. Your previous bookkeeper at your operator, they would have all of those files, and we could build the information. It's just not readily available in QuickBooks to us. And I mean, I could take the time and go back and enter that many years worth of information. I don't think it's worth it to you for me to bill for that, because that is well outside the scope of something we would do when onboarding a district. A year's worth is usually what we do so we can get into the fiscal year, and anything prior to that, there's audit files, all sorts of documentation. It's just a bit to dig up. It's not readily available, but like I could get it.
Well, I understand the amount of work, and I'm not going to ask you to do that at all. Can you report from that flash drive? Are you able to do searches through that flash drive? Or Mackenzie, is your accounting department willing to continue to say, like I did the other day, show me all the checks for M&C Electric?
I mean, they'll accommodate as they can, just understand it's not gonna be a priority for them because they're not getting paid. by
Exactly.
you all. So they'll accommodate me specifically because I accommodate them. So over time, yeah, I think that we can manage it as they get things underway, and we'll just have to kind of deal with it as they come across, but.
It isn't that often, and it isn't
Yeah,
that
correct.
much. But it is important that we be able to access our history records, because that's how we build timelines with these problems. Ashley, or Lisa, how many boxes of paper documents have been delivered by Infomark Accounting?
so we now have 60 boxes that were delivered to us, and so we're transported those, well, most of those, and we kept out the last couple of years. So if you're looking for historical information, the system that we use, and we found that they're a lot more reasonable than Iron Mountain, so we're trying to save costs for everybody, that we can pull that data, because first of all, I just kind of wanted to explain, when we did the onboarding process, Infomark has their own proprietary software that they use, and the financials that they were doing were part of that system. So most bookkeepers utilize some type of software like QuickBooks or Sage or something like that, where in the past we've been able to extract data and have some historical data. Even if it's not 100% accurate and reconciled, at least we can go back and look for checks and things like that. But in this case, we really aren't able to do that. But we do have all their financial records, and we do have all the audit files. So in the beginning, we're used to, especially in Houston, we're very much a paper-driven community in the MUD world. So we're used to having an electronic version and then having the paper as the backup. So we didn't have any paper for a while, and I think that left us kind of like, oh my gosh, how are we going to verify this? Because we're so used to working with both of them. So we learned over time. I mean, and Infomark has been nothing but cooperative. They've sent us data. It was just a learning process for us to onboard. We've never onboarded bookkeeping from Infomark before. We've done it from other bookkeepers. And so it's been a bit of a challenge. Ashley, I think, can speak to this, but I think she can probably find some of that data by searching through it. If you're looking for like checks or expenditures within a certain GL code, or we can actually pull the physical files from the auditor and go through it that way. If the information is important to get, it'll take a little bit of time. This company we work with charges us nothing to pull boxes out, which is unusual, so it's nice.
Are we paying you to store 60 boxes?
Yes, you are.
What is the cost to store 60 boxes?
I have to go back and look. We just literally got it done about a week ago, and I've got an operations staff that's taking care of that, and so I can't say off the top of my head.
Well, I would like to know, because we already pay to store records, and it would not make any sense whatsoever to pay 2 people to store records. So please let me know what you're charging us to store 60 boxes of paper, and then I would like I don't know who
So
would do this.
I'm not sure if I understand. So they had those boxes. They still store boxes, but it has to do with your operations. They gave us all the boxes that have to do with
We don't have
bookkeeping.
your financial boxes.
And your attorney, of course, also stores boxes. So in this industry, everyone is
Stores
storing
paper.
boxes because
Yeah.
we're required to. I mean, we can go to legislators and ask if we could just go electronic, but unfortunately, I'm with you. I would love to blow the paper up, but.
Well, everything has a retention cycle, and everything has to be stored for a specific amount of time. So I know Cole has records probably back from the inception of this district. Whether or not it's necessary to keep all those, we don't know at this time. We do need a much better record management policy in this district because it costs a lot of money to store paper. And
I
if we
understand.
don't have to, then let's not do that. And if we do need a laid out records retention schedule, like how long do we have to keep director emails? How long do we have to keep the files on their drive? Those things are important to know because it costs us money to hold on to data that we don't need. So
I will let you know.
I do want to know what it costs to
Yeah.
store 60 boxes.
So we have, there's usually a simple description of what's in the box. It'll be the year, it'll say audit files, but it's not always very specific. So if we need to look through every one of those boxes and determine what should or should not be kept, that will take time and we will.
You're going to bill for it, as you should, because we're not asking you to work for free.
Yeah.
Which is exactly why I was so hoping you could read the electronic files that were delivered to you, because that's quicker to do a search. But
We can read them, but they are basically
It's a lot.
just reports. It's like general ledger, trial balance. It's not something that we can easily, if you would like us to put all of that into QuickBooks the same way in which we have reconciled this 1 year, we're talking hundreds and hundreds of hours to
No,
go back 5 years.
we're not going to do that.
I don't think that would be feasible for anyone.
It's not cost effective, and we're not going to do
No,
that.
I don't think it is.
Because I'm sure a lot of those records we don't even need to keep.
Well, I just want to say we feel really good about the books, and Ashley and I feel that we're very close to having actual versus budget at the next meeting, which would give you a lot of more information. I did want to talk a little bit about, I know I mentioned this in the beginning, I've been in this industry for 28 years, and for 17 years I was a resident director. So I, just like yourselves, and I did that for 17 years before I entered as a consultant. So the last 11 years I've been doing bookkeeping services. And I have to say this board is very involved. I have a lot of admiration for that. You definitely are, want to be involved, want to be a part of, the oversight and review of what your, consultants are doing for you. And I certainly do appreciate that. You guys have created committees, which I think is really good too, to take on different tasks. But what I wanted to talk about is, as bookkeepers, our interaction with committees and with board members. The level with which we are interacting with board members and committee members is way beyond the scope of anything I've ever done for any other district. And so I think that can be good, and I think that it also can be a challenge because we are finding ourselves spending a tremendous amount of time reviewing invoices and going over the minutia of every single thing and having to look at, question, determine if we're going to pay that or not pay that. And I know Linda had a conversation with you when we first took on this district. As a bookkeeper, we have always, and this is our duty, is to be aware of and understand every contract that the district engages in. It could be a big contract, like with their attorney or their operator, of course, it's probably one of the most complex, to a simple contract, for someone who they do storage with. And so we're aware of every single one of them. We actually create a summary with the points, all the details that can fit into a summary, of all the different aspects of it. And so the amount of time that we're spending is, I think, becoming problematic. And the reason I say that is I always look at, as an auditor, when they come in, they look at your books and look at your finances. And sometimes there's might be an error, or might be a mistake, or something doesn't reconcile. I'm not saying that's what's happening here, but there's a threshold of what is significant. And when you're talking about a budget that's in the millions, and you're talking about numbers that are in the hundreds or the thousands, what is the significance of that? And whether or not that threshold meets a review or meets, going back and saying, no, we need to go back and sharpen our pencils and go back and do that. This past year, I've looked at the operator in particular, the operators, which of course is the biggest invoice that we get. And my understanding is that Linda works with the operator, and of course now works with Ashley and myself to go through and look for any errors or mistakes or things that need to be corrected in there. And what I've found is, after looking at all the credits that have been issued over the last year, it looks like that number is probably less than 10,000 on the credits. And so I've asked the operator to give me some detail about, some of them are an accidental overcharge, or sometimes there's an error or mistake that's made, which is going to happen. What I'm finding is about half of the times they're errors, and the other half tend to be concessions that the operator's like, well, then we won't charge for that. If you think that we didn't need 3 people to do something, 2 people would have been okay, well then we'll go ahead and do this. And this is all coming from me, because I look at what our contract says that we provide. I look at what we charge. I look at the scope of our, duties and responsibilities, and take it very seriously, because we, feel very strongly about doing the best job we can for you guys, which is what's important for the district. When I look at the amount of hours that we charge to spend doing that, I'm not sure that there is a gain. And I do think that there is a loss in that there's a lack of confidence, there's a lack of maybe trust, and can make a consultant feel like we're being put under a microscope. And again, I think any operator or any consultant in this room is more than happy to be open about everything that they do. And it's not that we're trying to hide anything, but it's a consideration that the board has hired us to do a job. And that we've been hired because we're experts in our field. We all have a lot of experience in doing what we're doing. The firms that we work for have a lot of experience in doing what we're doing. This is a very unique industry, very unique. I had 2 friends who were CPAs with 30 years and 20 years of experience and had master's degrees in accounting, and they bought themselves a book of business. Never did fund accounting, never did MUD districts, but they thought, hey, this looks like a good opportunity. So they bought themselves a book of business, and in less than a year, it completely imploded. They lost all 55 districts that they had bought, because they really had no clue how unique this industry is. Now, with that being said, my opinion is that if we're allowed to do our job, and that the board provides the oversight, which is absolutely their responsibility, and can work a relationship, a comfortable relationship of trust. Again, I can't speak for anyone but myself. I'm completely open to our process. I'll answer any questions about anything that we do. But we want to build a team effort that we're all working together for the same thing. I know there's been some discussions about AWBD, whether or not you guys would continue to be a member of AWBD. I spent 4 years on the board of AWBD, and I also have been a member since 1995. And since I knew absolutely nothing about MUD districts before that, I was very grateful to have that opportunity. It does cost money. They do their conferences here in Austin, so that could be attended. But now what's really great, and that's one of the things I pushed for when I was on AWBD, is to record all the sessions. So you can buy a membership and just look at the sessions. You don't have to go in person. I find them to be very informative, I still think attendance is great, because I think half of it is the networking, meeting other people, asking questions. Hey, how did you do this? Or, wow, that's really cool. I like that. Or, talking to people. I think that's important too. But I feel really strongly, and the reason I bring this up, And something happened last month that was very unsettling to me. So part of our job description and the scope of what we do is to build a budget. And we take years and years and years of experience of working with your consultants to build a budget. We understand the payroll taxes, we understand all the different aspects of what needs to go into a budget to get something as accurate as we possibly can. And what we do is we work with your consultants closely, we get information from them, and we pull all of that together, and then we present it to the board, usually over a couple of months, and then sit down and go through line item by line item, every single line, and discuss it and say, okay, do we want to change this, do we want to change that? This process that happened for WTC1, we were communicating back and forth with a board member and making changes, going back and forth, documenting everything. And then all of a sudden, we found out that there was a budget meeting. We had no idea that a budget meeting was held and a budget was adopted. And as a result of that, we ended up with a budget that's not ours, that and that's part of our job. We feel like we try to be as accurate as possible. A budget, of course, is a forecast. We can't say for sure, or your operator thinks that, repair and maintenance is going to be exactly this number. But, they work to provide as much information as they can. Maybe it's part of it regular maintenance they're going to do. Maybe they're just predicting based on historical information that they have because they've been in this industry forever. But because of that, payroll taxes and fees are incorrect based on what you've been paid in the past. And if they take the same per diems, their per diems have gone up. So that's a change there. Interest income was completely removed, and we need to separate that as a line item. And that's because the auditor will be looking for that as a separate line item. And so when we prepare the audit reports, we have to have all of that separated. Record storage, there was confusion in record storage between what's a storage unit and what is an actual physical unit that's, storing physical things. Like I don't know what you have in storage, but obviously you must have some kind of equipment or something like that that you put in storage. All the GL codes were dropped from it. So for us, we now don't know, other than based on description, exactly what is meant to be in that particular GL code. So the general ledger code is that code that we create that's part of our chart of accounts that we give to the auditor that we use to document. And so when we don't have that information accurately, then we're going to start having problems. And then bank fees were dropped. We're going to have bank fees. And we need to separate those out. Payroll taxes were rolled up into payroll, like actually paying people payroll. Those absolutely have to be separated out too. So the budget is the duty of the bookkeeper to present and do all the detail, and then of course it's to the board's decision as to what they want to adopt with the guidance from their consultants. And so my concern is if you have committees, are committees supposed to be making decisions? Because if the board is only seeing what the committee has decided and not what the consultants are wanting to show or provide, then I see that as problematic. Then I see that as problematic that the entire board is not getting the opportunity. I think committees are great. They can help save time. They can help, do some work that doesn't have to be done in a board meeting. However, I don't think a committee or an individual board member has the right to make changes to something before it goes to, or eliminate or change, without the rest of the board seeing and making a decision. So those are the concerns I have. I take my job very seriously. I want to do the best job. We've worked really, really hard to pull these books together, and we feel like we're really close with getting them together and should be able to get your next budget on time. But these are things that I feel need to be addressed because they're problematic for me, and I see us having problems down the road. The budget is a big thing for us. That's a big problem for me, that how I'm going to go forward, because I'm going to have to recommend that you change the budget again.
Let me address your concerns, Lisa, and we'll just move on with the accounting item. When we talked before we agreed to hire you, you assured me we would have this information 5 business days prior to our meeting. That hasn't happened yet. Understandably, you were onboarding, you've been onboarding, it took a long time. When we did our budget, you didn't have our information yet. So you couldn't have contributed to the budget much. I appreciate that $10,000 worth of mistakes is minuscule to a $2.4 million budget. But I'd like you to appreciate that we take an oath when we take these positions to be fiduciaries to the people's money. It is their money. And $10,000 may not be a lot to a $2.4 million budget, but it's a lot to people who can't pay their water bill. So I'm not willing to turn a blind eye to mistakes in the bookkeeping. And they are not bookkeeping mistakes, they're operator mistakes. And it is perhaps will get better when that contract is more understandable and more clear. So I do appreciate that it does take time, but if you're not able to answer our questions, and we don't even ask questions until we get the bills and invoice package, I mean, it's not like we're hounding, or at least I'm not bothering Ashley during the month for information because she doesn't have it yet. And she can't look beyond a year. And when you're building a timeline, I need more than a year's worth of information. So trust is earned, it is not automatic. And until the last 2 months of bills, there has literally been no errors other than some missing receipts from the operator, not from all the other invoices. The payroll stuff, I don't have anything to document that. We're not going to trust the bookkeeper to make payroll to our constable and our roving patrol unless we look at their time accounting, because that is limited in scope to what they can work, the number of hours they can work in a month, and when those hours are. So we are different than most districts. We don't rubber stamp our checks. We don't do that here. We actually look at them, and we look at them against our contracts, and we make sure that our contractors are charging what our contract agrees that we will pay. And we don't ask anyone to work for no money. We don't do that. We want to pay them for their services. But we have to have some agreement of some ability to get answers to financial questions. And the only one who holds our financial data is your firm. So where else can we get it? We don't have access to the records. We are dependent on you, mostly Ashley, she's been terrific, to give us that information. So I don't know of any other way to do it, and I am never going to approve paying a contractor because he only has a couple of $1,000s worth of mistakes in his invoicing. That's not going to happen.
But what's happening is you're vetoing some things and the board is not having an opportunity to make that decision.
No, that's not true.
As
That's not true at all. We actually bring it up here in this meeting, and we discuss why we are pulling these checks, why we are not paying this contractor, or why we are not paying this invoice. And in every case since you guys have been on board, it is because of lack of documentation. If there is no vendor receipt, no subcontractor receipt for an $18,000 charge, you would not suggest that we approve that charge. One of the things that was so appealing about your firm is you guys said you would be making sure that every invoice had supporting documentation. And so far, it all matches except for the operator stuff. Now, that's huge, as you can see here. That is enormous. It's an enormous amount of paper to look at. And I have talked to Mackenzie, and she has agreed to put things in an order to make it easier to match work order to subcontractor invoice. Make those matches. Right now, we don't have that. And unless we can make those matches, because I am building a timeline specifically on that hatch lift station, if I don't have a vendor receipt, a subcontractor receipt, just an Infomark work order that says pay this $18,000, I can't in good conscience let that go.
So I'm trying to understand, in the past, the constables have been paid on a bi-weekly basis.
Right.
And so I don't know how the board's approving every single payment because they're only meeting once a month.
I explained to you, Infomark Accounting had set up a system where they had the ability to issue checks without board signatures. Remember, and you didn't like that at all, and you fixed that problem for us. But we didn't sign these constable checks that have been issued here either, so I don't know how that.
They're being paid by ACH, they're being paid by ADP, the same company we're using to pay you.
Okay,
And so they're being paid that way because I have had all three of the constables calling me on a regular basis.
we only have one.
It's
We have
probably
two. We have two, I
You have
apologize.
Roosevelt, you have Mark.
Johnson.
And you also have
Had Eduardo.
Eduardo.
Oh, that was the roving
There's
patrol.
been 3 people calling me on a regular basis wanting to know where their money was.
Well,
So I'm trying to pay these guys in a timely manner,
And-
and they're
and-
getting very upset.
and we agreed that payroll would be handled by a third party, not your firm. Somebody else is doing the payroll for us. And again, every 2 weeks is how they've always been
We're
paid.
doing the
So-
payroll, but we're using a third-party company.
Maybe we have to change it to every month so they get paid like everybody else.
With a check, maybe we do that.
And
Maybe that's the way to
route
solve
go.
that problem.
If that's what you want
So-
to do, but that has to be,
It-
somehow communicated to them. I don't make that decision.
Right.
These guys were upset because they were wondering why they weren't getting paid, and rightfully so. They've been accustomed to being paid a certain way.
Right.
And we've tried really
Well-
hard
Well, and
with that schedule.
I think, you mentioned the trust. We we're in this position and in these seats because, I'm going to just speak for myself, was a lack of trust in the past and how business was handled in the past. So if we're going to look at everything with a fine-tooth comb because we've seen the abuse in the past by past directors and how everything functioned. Okay, so we're going to be very, very picky on things until we can build that trust. I appreciate the hard work that you do. I appreciate you being here, but we really, really have. That's how it's going to be for a little while until we build that trust, and then it's a well-oiled machine. We can trust our vendors. Man, my brain just
The
blanked out.
budget is a big problem.
But no, I agree with you.
Yeah, I
That's
don't know
something
why
that
we
should
weren't
have been included, and I apologize that you weren't.
So let me speak to that. I'll say kind of, unless you have anything, I'll
No,
kind of
that's-
jump in and say the last words unless anyone has, I guess, unless anyone has anything else to say. But, so one, the way when we were onboarded as well, we were just instructed to send the agenda to Mackenzie and Reeves and it gets posted online. I think the board, you all have had the same consultants for such a long time that it was pretty routine when the meetings were, you didn't need to get an email. Typically what our firm does is when we have meetings is we send the agenda to online, the website provider to post it online, and then we also send an email to all the directors as well as all the consultants who are associated with the district saying, attached is the agenda for this meeting held on this date. It's just a standard email that one of our secretaries always sends out to everybody. That way, those agendas get out to everybody. Because we weren't doing that from the beginning, that's one reason they did not get that budget meeting agenda. And frankly, it slipped my mind because I came in and we were told to kind of, so I will take, I told this to Lisa earlier, I'll take responsibility for that. We're going to start doing that no matter what, sending out the agenda once it's finalized. We always send out a draft to everybody. Once you all finalize it and we publish it, we'll send that out and then we'll include all the consultants as well so everybody has it. That way they don't have to rely on going to look on the website. And if you all, if they're not at a meeting and you all have to change a meeting date for some reason, they're made aware of it because they get that quorum email. I don't think, I've worked with Lisa, our firm's worked with Lisa. She represents a lot of our districts that we have. I don't think she nor any bookkeeper who I've worked with has ever suggested just blindly signing a check and approving any type of amount. And I don't think that's what she was trying to say here. I think that the bigger issue with and I agree with Lisa here, is on that budget. It's perfectly acceptable for directors to look at the budget and to go through it and to work with consultants and do that, but the bookkeeper does need to be roped in on that because like she mentioned, it messed up the codes in her system, so now they're going to have to redo a lot of it. And granted, it's more work for Lisa, it's more work for Ashley. It's really no skin off your backs, but it puts them into the position where they have to go through now and redo everything to key in the correct codes and then the correct monetary amounts. And so, that's why, so I'll take 50% of that blame I'll take 100% of that blame for not, including her on that 6th meeting. And had she been aware of it, she would have been able to come in and say, hold on, we can't combine these two line items, these need to be separate. So, I will jump in and defend Lisa and Artisan with that, with the budget. So.
I appreciate you taking that.
Yep.
Yeah, and like I said, I apologize that you weren't included. I do believe that you should be included in absolutely everything that has to do with money, because that is your job. You said that it was a little bit of a loss, the amount of time that you're spending onboarding and that you're dealing with this district. I think that in any new business that you take on, or sometimes you are going to take a little bit of loss. It's just trying to get your rhythm down, trying to figure things out as you come along. So you have to expect some type of loss for a little while. Do we all want profit off the gate? Absolutely, right? But sometimes it just takes a little bit. You have to hurt a little bit on this end to benefit on the other end. So I think, with time, you will see that it's going to be less and less hours that we spend, because we still have to build that trust, right? Once we have the trust is there, you may not even hear from us, and we may be like, okay, you guys got this.
That's not gonna happen.
No, and I do totally, and I'm, like I said, 17 years I was a resident director, and I felt the same way.
So that's where we're coming from is what the reason we're here is because of the abuse, and the AWBD that was abused. That was taken as people's personal vacation. So to us, it's like, well, no, we're not going to partake in any of that. We don't want any part of that.
And
So we kind of want to distance ourselves from it. So from the information I've gathered, possibly, yes, it could be a great benefit, a great tool of learning, but also the MUD world is a money-making business. People make money off of MUDs. It's what you're here for, to make a profit. We all have to make a profit somehow, some way to feed our families. So it's kind of hard, but I think I appreciate your suggestion that it is a great tool. I will take that into consideration when it's time to
Especially
vote
since the
on it.
sessions are online.
Absolutely.
It is very expensive to attend, and I agree with you. And I'll tell you, back in '95, before
Digital.
social media, there were guys who would come with a golf bag, they'd pick up their bag at the conference, and you'd never see them again, and that infuriated me.
Yeah.
Because, I was the kind of director who would talk to people in my community. I had other directors go, why do you keep talking to people? Just keep your mouth shut, and that way you'll get reelected. But that's not what I was in it for.
Right.
I was
Let me just say
very
this too
involved.
about that one, and it is later on in the agenda. I don't know who put it on the agenda, that AWBD, but let me just say this. And one thing, I did ask Ashley to pull the last, all payments that she could get her hands on to AWBD. And the last annual dues payment never appeared on a check register in this district and was signed by 2 directors. So that never was approved by this board to be paid, and it slipped through. Those kind of things are the things
When was that?
That was last year's. I can send you a copy of the check register from Infomark, and it literally, and these aren't the real numbers, 5777, 5778, and missing in the middle is 5776, a check to AWBD for, I think it was $750. So Ashley was able to pull the check for me through the bank and look at the back of it, or the signature on it, 2 signatures, 2 board signatures. That's all it had. And they got paid for a year's worth of annual dues, and nobody attended anything that year. That's not a good use of taxpayer money.
Also,
But we'll talk about that further when we get to that agenda item. I just wanted you to know that those kind of things, yes, I look at those things.
No, I agree with that. I do want to, and I know we're trying to move through the agenda. Ashley is asking if she could just respond to one quick thing.
Sure,
Because
sure.
I think a comment
Absolutely.
was made about budget. And Ashley, are you still there?
Yeah, so there was comment that we had no information at all for the budget, and I did have information, because I had comments from Cole, there was some stuff that I looked at, and I actually had notes for calculations that I made for certain things to put them in the budget at certain amounts. There are definitely some things that I didn't get comments for, and I made notes saying that I pulled it from your budget, but there are things that I did calculate, like I didn't do absolutely nothing for the budget.
Oh, good. So see, she was somewhat involved.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think she
If
was
she
involved in the
got- If she
final.
got Cole's stuff.
She got comments from all consultants, yeah.
Oh.
Because she distributed the budget to all of us, and at least I can speak for myself, I marked it up and sent it right back
Okay.
to Ashley for her to.
And we incorporated
there was
that.
Yeah.
communication,
Yeah.
but
We
in the end,
incorporated.
I think you ended up taking the budget and creating a spreadsheet and making some adjustments. to
Because
it.
I could not get actuals for 2023, where we stood and what was left. She didn't have the information yet. Not all of it at that point. So yeah, and we had to set a budget before we could set the tax rate.
No,
And
I
we had a
understand.
deadline on
I understand
that.
that a budget has to be set. We just didn't know that it was being done. Like I said, we just want to be a part of it.
Well, and in the future, you'll be involved before we even start. You'll tell us when it's time.
So your recommendation is that we revisit that budget?
We need to revise
Okay.
the budget, and we can, certainly open up the discussion and get more feedback, but we're going to go through and make the changes that we need to make, and then we're gonna take those line items and fit them into our GL codes, and then we need to confirm if that is indeed the same thing.
Okay, so-
Everything has to be coded by GL code, and then they're categorized.
That can be done by
Groupings.
you and the committee prior to next month's meeting?
Yes,
And we
absolutely.
can put that on next month's meeting to go ahead and
Yes.
review and,
Because that's what we would be building our actual versus budget
Okay.
with, is that budget. And the budget we have now, we can't do that until we may amend that.
okay,
Okay.
so moving forward.
So thank you.
Made a note. We'll add it to the next meeting. Is there anything else on the accounting report? Payment of bills and invoices. The only ones I have pulled out of your stack are the operators' checks. If you threw missing receipts in there after 3 o'clock today, I haven't seen them. Because I cannot spend 4 days trying to put together work orders to receipts. That's what I've spent on just the operators' work this month. That's ridiculous. Now, McKinsey has agreed, going forward, a work order will be followed by its supporting receipt if it's got a subcontractor attached to it, so that we don't have 6 files and we have to hunt through every file to find the match. Every work order should have the corresponding subcontractor invoice number on it. Every subcontractor invoice needs to have the Infomark work order number and invoice number. You should be able to cross-reference those
I can't
documents.
guarantee you I will get all of that, but I can at least guarantee you when you get the report, it'll have work order and supporting docs behind it, so. I
I
can't
think that's
edit-
basic accounting
I
principles.
can't edit a contractor's invoice.
You can't write on it.
Well, I mean, sure, but I'm not gonna print everything and do that. That's gonna take way too much time. I agreed to put the
Okay, put 'em in order.
correspondence
Put them in order
behind it,
and
'cause
I can
Then
do
you
it.
look at the work order and you'll know behind it, if it says that there's an invoice on it, it should be behind it. You'll know that that's gonna correspond with the two.
Okay,
But I don't print everything. It's all electronic.
that's
so-
okay. You can do it electronically. I can mark them electronically when they get in the bills and
I
invoice
will put them
package.
behind one another because I get them as 2 separate files and I'm gonna have to go in and do it manually as well.
All right, so these, once we can verify that every one of these work orders that has a subcontracted invoice with it, and we have that invoice here, and that invoice has more than a date and an amount on it, it actually tells us what was done. There are elements of an invoice that have to be met in a government record, and some of your contractors don't do it. And we're gonna do that so we know what we're paying for it. It's important in building timelines.
Lisa, can you, I guess, is that statement true that there are certain practices, things that we need, supporting documents from our subcontractors that need to be submitted on their invoices? Is there,
What's the minimum requirements on an invoice?
Minimum requirements on invoice, well, it would have the name of the company, it would have a description of the services provided or item that would be purchased, a date, and that's the
Invoice.
minimum.
An amount?
And amount, of course.
and you're saying that some of the contractors don't even have all that?
Right.
Okay.
It's rare, it happens.
Okay.
And then it's a hefty amount of an invoice, and there's nothing, and then the work, usually you can put it together with the work order, which will be a little more descriptive if the tech has put field notes on it.
So,
You can kind of make,
so Mackenzie, you'll get that all to satisfy Director
I'm
Fowle?
gonna take the
Yeah.
2 files that she's currently been getting, and I'm just gonna put the correspondence
Okay.
behind it.
so we'll see if we can't make this go smoother. All the other ones are in order. And I actually went to the State Library and Archives Commission to look at the minimum requirements for a government invoice. So there is a standard out there. It is written. And that's what I'm looking for when I look at these. So these two, again, if we can,
You have the backup for them.
I know,
I'm just saying,
And
if
in
you get it,
this-
it's been given, so.
yes. But now I have to manually sit there and take this much documents and put them together with its corresponding invoice. And you think it's I mean, literally,
I did one of, almost all of them
4
today, and it
days,
took me less than
4
10
days to look through this. I'm a volunteer. I told you, I'm a volunteer. I shouldn't have to work that hard.
What
So.
2 invoices is it?
This is, this is another thing, and I don't know how common this is in the MUD world. We're getting invoices and work orders from March, okay? If these things cannot be turned over in 30 days, I have to dig back to the bills and invoices from March, April, May, June, July, August, and September to see if we have already paid them. That is a
And that's
problem.
Sometimes if there's a project going on, they may be holding to wait for them to finish.
Is that
before
common?
they-
That-
so
Yes, but
that
then the
happens.
end date is within 30 days of this meeting.
That's because it goes through an audit process on our end. And then that's why it doesn't get marked complete until that audit process takes place. So you have a tech go out in the field, they do something, they need to get a quote for something. You have the time to wait for that quote to come in. That quote comes in, it applies to that work order. We have to go through the approval process. Sometimes that requires a board meeting. I can bring it to you if I have to. Then after it's been approved, they move forward with the work. We still don't have an invoice, but it gets attached to that work order once it's done. So that's why you'll have a work order that can start in March. It'll have tech time on it sometimes it won't. They have to go out there, inspect, figure out what we need, get a quote for that, wait for the quote, wait for approval. Then, once we have approval, we still have a lead time to get that contractor out here. Then, once the contractor comes and performs the work, it can be up to 30 days before they send us that invoice. So yes, you have a process. It's gonna take time, because then, once we get the invoice and it goes into the IPS system, our team has to go through and make sure that that invoice matches up with that work order. It's supposed to be for that district. It has the proper whatever coding on it. Then it comes to me to review. Well, that's only going to happen once before a board meeting, and then I review it, and then it goes through. So there is lead time, but it's because the entire process has to be followed and audited.
And it's pretty standard in the industry. And I work with 8 different
Can you tell me what the 2 invoice numbers are?
operators.
The 2 that you're going to hold, because I can just put them together.
1145607, this is from March 31st. And
Mm-hmm.
1151973, this one's from September.
I'll send you files probably tomorrow with them.
In the proper order?
Yeah.
And if that's the case and everything matches up, these are ready to go.
So can
Most
we
of it I've
approve-
looked at.
So can we
You can,
approve
what you can do is
this,
sign the check, she'll hold it
Hold
until
it
she
until
gets an
she-
approval from the committee.
so we have to make a motion for that,
Yes.
correct?
You
too?
do,
Yes,
yes.
you
You wanna make that
It
motion?
has to be a board decision.
No, go ahead.
So,
Now, I can also.
wait,
Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
Like I said, I can also recommend to the board, you know, with districts that are issuing bonds and have major capital project fund, you know, projects that they're doing, typically your bookkeeper can track that, can track the expenditures. And, you know, if there are projects that the board would like for us to track, if you're going to build a new playground, I'm just making something up, or whatever, or you're gonna do
That lift
maintenance or
station.
whatever,
That lift
And-
station.
we can certainly track something as a project. And we can track all the expenses in there so that you don't have to pour through that, you can see. And if something does get duplicated, it's very easy to see because you've generated that. Time, it usually takes a little bit of time to set that up initially, but very minimal time to maintain it month to month, because you're just adding whatever
Whatever comes in.
transactions it is. So that's something we can do as we develop your report and add that, because we want you to feel confident that we're tracking everything and doing a good job. We have had, you know, a lot of positive feedback from other districts that we've worked with, especially the attorneys and the FAs and the operators. And this is not hard for us to do. I mean, we can do this for you, but it's, again, you know, getting all that data and setting it all up, and then we can track from there. So if that's something that you're interested in doing, you know, I'm not saying we're gonna track every single thing that's spent, I'm just saying if we could pick a project, or pick, you know, something, or
I don't know
repair,
if
or
it would be
or
easy for
build.
her to do it for Hatch, considering she wasn't here when it started.
Yeah, see, that's a real problem, Mackenzie, because Hatch is gonna be, by the time it's said and done, and as they keep coming through, I mean, we keep seeing more invoices and more services for Hatch Lift Station that we didn't have when we did a not-to-exceed amount on that project.
Are you referring to the work order for the PM?
No, I'm not. I'm referring to, in this batch here is the night of the catastrophic failure of that lift station. And again, I'm trying to put together a timeline of what happened that led up to that failure. And I thought I was there, and then I get this, and I can't tell you how many work orders in here that I hadn't seen before that I now need to go back and add to my timeline. It's just, these services were complete on March 9th. So there's no excuse.
Keep in mind, you're seeing invoices from March. You just said one of those is from March.
Yes,
So that makes sense. I'm not,
because Mackenzie, when we saw this invoice, this one, the thick one, the first time, I annotated everything that was missing.
we looked, we don't have an email from you sending it to me. I had that discussion
find
with you
Yeah,
2 days ago.
I can. Anyways, my point is this. When I go through it, I annotate what's missing. And I ask for the receipts that are missing or whatever is missing or an explanation. I do every month. It's easier now that we put it on the shared drive because then there's no misunderstanding and it lives in infamy with this district. I will put the review that I did for this batch here.
Is it you already put
This-
it online?
Well, then I
You
should.
put it online 2 or 3 days ago
Okay.
in the folder.
Okay. So everything then should be
Yes, that's,
in there,
it is.
in order.
It's not yet. I will have to do that tomorrow is what I'm telling you. I'll have to take what you put up there a couple days ago.
So I'd like to know where we are on the agenda.
We are on
We're
the
still-
accounting. We need a motion to approve the bills and invoices and hold these 2 checks until they have been, until McKinsey reorders and they have been verified. You okay with that?
Bills and invoice committee's okay with that?
As long as you sign them so that she can release them and we don't wait till you to sign them for next month.
Okay.
Kelly, are you okay with that?
Yes.
All right, I'll make them, you want to make the motion? Do you have an amount? The total? You want it in hold?
Ashley, do you know what the total amount is for approval?
For that. For
For
those
which
two.
one exactly?
It would be the whole check register, including the Infomark check, but minus the Sunscape check. The Infomark check will just have the contention of committee reviewing once the backup is put in order.
So it's holding.
Wait, what am I calculating?
So your total amount for approval would be the 594,381.81. I'm sorry, 89.81 minus 36,000. because we're not paying that check, the Sunscape check.
Okay, are you wanting me to just pull the check info or the payroll or?
No, I think we've got it. It's just we need to take that amount and subtract it out. 1 second, Ashley.
Just check 6128?
No, the Sunscape check.
Their whole,
Sunscape, just the Sunscape. Okay, I'm opening my Excel so I can do it
Your
easily.
approval amount is $558,389.81. That's everything
See, don't even need me.
excluding the Sunscape check that was accidentally
558,
included.
sorry.
Sorry, it's $558,389.81.
And then holding 2 checks, okay.
I move that we approve the checks for the amount of $558,389.81, holding check number 6128 and 6130 upon getting the information that's needed. Anything else?
I'll second it.
Okay.
It's not a check, it's the total.
Kelly
Okay,
second.
I'm sorry.
You're good, you're good.
I'm just going. We're all looking at each other.
Thank you.
Linda, is it 6130 you're holding? Because that one is on here.
6128 and 6130.
Okay, because on here you didn't mark 6130 as being held, and we've completed the review of that. That's not one of those, I don't think. That was this month's check.
61.
Correct.
Did you answer all, did you provide all the missing and answer all the questions?
Sure did. There was nothing missing on that one, I don't think.
Was this the one?
That was the first one we looked at. We started that one last week.
Ashley said all were approved except for the 60, she knew about
Correct.
the 6128 to 6134. We pulled 6134 Sunscape and 6128, someone had questions about.
Okay,
So scratch
So
out this
scratch-
It would just be
6130.
6130.
and you pulled out Badger. I don't see it on here, so Badger meter's not on here.
We're
Correct?
having a hard time getting in touch with Badger.
Will you send that to me? Can y'all send me that invoice? I can go pull it if it's in the folder, so if it's in there, don't worry about it, because when Missy returns, Missy is like our meter guru with Badger, and she can reach out to them, she has direct contacts with them. And we'll get them to, correct that to be only the 10 and temp accounts that were set up initially.
What's Mrs. last name?
Roberts.
Oh, yeah.
All right,
So I have motion
and you have a second?
by David to approve invoices, payment of bills totaling X amount, but hold check 6128, pending McKinsey's distribution of the backup material.
Yep.
All right, seconded by Kelly, all in favor?
All in favor? All right, moving on.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
General Manager's Report.
All right. It's in
Mackenzie,
your,
you're up.
it's in your folder. We do have 2 things that we received some quotes on from Land Care. We'll get to those as we go through. Water accountability for September was up to 90%. We do foresee that to increase a little bit more given the 3 leaks from Samco that were identified between Sunchase and Volente have been repaired. However, I know that we've had more water coming through Sunchase, so we actually had a team investigate again, and we've been able to pinpoint that it's coming from beyond the district bounds within the border of the district. So looking at the map and then where the storm drain that comes into Sunchase goes out and hangs a right, I believe, which is towards Cedar Park. So we're gonna have to get with Cedar Park again to have them come out. We're gonna take them to the exact spot, try to find it in a manhole. We have not been able to find the exact location within a manhole thus far. We sent a team up the pipe to take a look to see where it was coming from, and once we knew that they were well beyond district bounds, we told them to come back. So we'll get with them. I don't think it's another district leak. It's not anything that was identified by Samco. I think 2 different people actually sent me pictures of Sunchase being dry after the leak repair. So
It was.
it was, and
And
then
now
it came
it
back
came
again.
back, right.
So, all the leaks that were identified by Samco, all 3 ended up being district-side leaks. All 3 have been repaired, including the one on Old Mill. So that one that was identified by Samco as a customer-side leak, we investigated and it was a district-side leak. So that one's been repaired as well. We just need to get a hold of Cedar Park, which I believe we were working on today, and we called the utility department, and we're just waiting on a call back to schedule with them to come out. They're gonna have to send someone from their team to meet with our team on site to show them
Would you be able to send me where that leak was that we thought it was the customer side but ended up being,
I texted it to you.
okay.
You have it in a text, the
Do I?
address. I believe you do. I'm almost certain you do. I'll check real quick, because I have it with you.
And if you did it, you can.
I did.
You
It's in
did?
the last
Okay.
text I sent you.
Alright.
Okay. Delinquent letters were 142 this month, 88 tags hung, and 13 disconnects made. As far as the parks go, we had a stuck irrigation valve. That's what one of these proposals is for. The $880.50 was to track and replace the stuck valve that's over in Anderson Mill West Park area. It was determined by Land Care. They brought the proposal forward to us. That's in your packet. Do you know what page it's on? I know we have a lot in the packet, so I would rather just be able to give you a page number. While Reese is looking for that, I'm gonna continue on. That's one of the items for approval tonight. Obviously, we would, on page 19, we would recommend approval of that just to go ahead, because that's obviously gonna be something contributing to water loss.
So it's a stuck valve that's stuck open?
But it's been cut off.
And was that, where was that? Did they identify exactly
It's in
where?
Anderson Mill West Park
But they
area.
didn't say exactly where, because remember, we had that event that in the park with the trailer. Was it anywhere near that
Where the 18-wheeler
location?
pulled up into the park?
We had the park inspected directly to follow that event for any water leakage or damage, and we didn't see anything. So I don't believe it's contributing to that.
Okay,
We
I
can
just wanna
find-
make sure.
We can find out exactly where. He didn't tell me exactly where, but we can ask.
Yeah, let's just
we
make
may
sure that
want
we
to
can
ask them where it is.
identify that exactly. Make sure it's not it's not from that.
So moving on there, so we did get quotes from them to replenish the mulch within some of the playscape areas. This was just something that Land Care noticed being low and decided to provide a proposal on. They asked if we would like them to. I said, sure, why not? Doesn't hurt. So we do have those proposals in the packet as well. They're gonna follow page 19. I didn't recommend approval of those because we don't have any additionals for you all to consider, but I just wanted to put that forward in front of y'all so you know we have received some. And that would be to replenish the kitty mulch at Anderson Mill West Park, Lakeline Oaks, and Hatch. And it would just be to bring it back up. And from what I understand, they do provide certified, like chipped size and everything. So I don't feel that they would be a bad one to go with, but I'm not gonna recommend it until we have others to provide.
Yeah, I'd like to get with,
Park Protect.
Mhm.
Park Protect to,
We can. I didn't want to put too much effort into it because it wasn't something y'all asked us for.
Yeah.
So it was just brought to us by Land Care. They do need to be replenished. That was actually, I think, one of the budget
See.
items that was cut out for this year that we probably should have left. We had it on an every other year schedule, and that's, I think, probably not even what's recommended. I think it's recommended to do it every year. So just keep that in mind. We might have to add that back in.
we have to do something.
Right.
Wasn't
and
that a
that's-
failure from the safety inspection?
It was
It
the
was.
most,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
highest.
but we had it in the old budget. It was on an every other year basis, and 2023 was one of the years.
Okay, do you know if they've conducted their first quarterly inspection yet?
I don't believe so. I can check with Dustin. I haven't heard from him this month, though.
Okay.
So I'll double check with them and find out when. I do know that he just communicated to me whenever they finished the swing repairs. They did the more extensive swing repairs.
So those have been completed? I don't wanna get us too far off the track.
No, they haven't.
They have, awesome. And so we definitely want to make sure that it's being installed to the ASTM depth. And I don't know how qualified Land Care is to us.
I'll ask them.
That's
They said they use a certified vendor, so it's a third party for them to do it. They just provide it as a service, but they use a certified vendor to do so. But yeah, we will, that's another reason why it's not as a recommendation for approval. It was just as a FYI, we've received this and gave me a good segue to bring it up that we need to move forward with
Yeah, it's a
considering.
high priority item, for sure.
We'll get with Park Protect and see if they can provide us some additional companies that we could ask for quotes from.
Because
and
they're
then-
also missing a park, they're missing the Valente Hills.
Yeah.
That was the one that actually needed it the most out of all of them. We're about
that low, I know.
That far off,
Yeah.
so.
So I didn't wanna, like I said, put
Right.
too much effort into it yet, cause this was just on a whim, but we'll get a little bit more in depth with it this month, and we'll see if we can't get you guys some additional quotes to consider for next month.
Okay.
Next up is your storm aftermath trimming. So land care, we asked them to conduct an audit of the district of things above the 8-foot canopy that were not taken care of by Sunscape while they were here, and anything else that was hazardous that needed to be removed. That is the additional quote that I did suggest and recommend approval of. What page that one's on? 22. So if you scroll down to page 22, you'll see their quote there. It's
6,500.
yeah, but it pretty much covers all of the pertinent areas within the district that they were able to find any sort of hazardous limbs that are either hanging, dangling, or laying on other limbs. And so this is just their proposal to take care of all of those. And the reason I mentioned the 8-foot canopy is the 8-foot canopy is within their contract. So above that is considered additional for them. So I would recommend approval of that as well, because we want to get that conducted. The other portion of this is I can add this to FEMA if you approve it tonight. I can add this to the FEMA funds we're seeking reimbursement for, because it is still considered tree trimming from the storm. So this will be added in as additional cost to FEMA for seeking reimbursement. That has consumed quite a lot of my time this month of putting your damage inventory together and working with FEMA and TDM to do that. So I did ask whenever I saw the quote come through if we can add it in, and they told me yes. The problem was your damage inventory is due on Friday. So if you approve it tonight, I can go ahead and add it into your damage inventory for FEMA and TDM. Is there a question?
I'm thinking in my head, when is the time of year where you cut trees? Is it?
So they're not, anything they cut, they'll seal. So it will not prevent further damage. They will, if they have to cut
We're past
anything,
that time.
We're okay until February.
Yeah.
yeah. So, we should be okay. I don't think it would cause any hindrance.
Do we need a motion for that?
Yeah.
I would recommend if you wanna go do both of those up there, the two at the top of the executive summary, the 8850 to do the stuffed valve in Anderson West Park, and the 6500 for the additional tree trimming.
No. Because the stuck valve, I still want to hold off.
Well, regardless, they can't run the irrigation without wasting water through it. So just keep that in mind. I know we're not entering the months where we're gonna do a lot of
We don't
irrigating.
need a lot of irrigation. I don't know, Kelly, what do you think?
I think we have to repair it regardless, and if it's
I was gonna
found,
say you
if it's
seek
found that
reimbursement.
that there's culpability there, then we can, go to them later. But either way, it's on us to repair it right now.
I move that we approve $880.50 to repair the irrigation valve in Anderson West Park, and move that
Wait.
we
You need
approve.
a second for
Okay.
that one.
Oh,
Sorry.
Unless you're
That's
doing
okay.
You can do them
I was
together.
gonna
Change
do them
them
together.
Go for
Yeah.
it.
And to approve 6,500 for the tree trimming in all the parks by Land Care.
I'll second that.
And that 6,500 will be submitted to
FEMA and TDM.
FEMA by Infomar.
Alright, so I've got a motion and a second.
All in favor?
We have added some additional quotes in here from Dobbs and My Backyard Sports for additional pickleball striping quotes. I think we had provided one a couple of months ago as well from a different vendor. You now have multiple to consider. Again, not recommending approval tonight, but wanted to put that forward so the committee and the board know they have been received and can be reviewed for consideration. I just wanted to touch on that.
Can you put all of those quotes together in one spot?
We can.
Thank you.
Can you put attention to that, please? Last up is Sunchase Electrical Control. So after the tree had to be removed from Sunchase, the breaker is what we had to utilize to cut the power to the lights within the park. When the breaker was turned back on, it did not cut the lights back on. We ended up having M&C come out. They did a rather extensive diagnostic on the whole situation and provided pictures of all sorts of things. I have reached out to one of the vendors that are in the district that Director Fabre, or Fob, I said your name wrong again, suggested. They were supposed to come out this week and take a look at it. I also contacted the other gentleman, but I couldn't get him to answer. Starts with an L. But either way, we're waiting on an additional proposal.
I sent you one. Did you get that message?
Did you text it to me?
I did. No,
The,
I'll resend it.
Okay.
But I have another electrician that lives in the neighborhood.
oh,
Is
I
it
gave
one
her
of
that
the-
name, the, across the street from me?
Yeah, yeah.
I gave her that name.
Do you know the name?
Not off the top of my head.
I was
I'll-
asking David.
No, I don't have my phone. I'll give it to you after the meeting.
Okay, but we did contact him, and I got a hold of one of them, and he was gonna come and take a look at it. I need to follow back up with him to find out if he did. But we'll provide an additional quote for y'all to consider at least by the next meeting, and to take a look at.
So M&C did come out, they did turn it on, but only half the park is on.
Correct, they cannot get the additional portion of it to turn on with the way that it's currently wired in the controls. They have, I think a portion of the system is dead and how it's wired into the dimmer. So that system is actually on a dimmer, has been for many, many, many years, but the dimmer has never been used. So they sent us a nice picture and there's little boxes all over that explain what each thing is on the electrical panel. Far beyond my knowledge to understand it, but they made this suggestion, and the proposal provided from them was, I think, $2,200 to renege the whole system, take out the dimmer, and install some new components, a new timer, because the timer interface is actually also not on any longer. When you go to the blue box, the digital portion of it is out. You can't see it. So you don't know what, when you press buttons and make dial changes, what it's doing.
Sometimes going old school mechanical is probably the best bet to go. So.
Their recommendation, because what you actually have out there is so far outdated, they don't make it any longer. They can't replace it with what's already there, is to take out the dimmer, because they feel like that's the major component that's causing the problems, and most people understand dimmers are not good for the electrical systems. And so they did provide that proposal. We're just gonna wait and see what we get back from the additional vendor I've reached out to. I wanted to notate too, we did do some graffiti cover-ups recently near Dagama's outfall. That is on like one of the last several pages of the report. I provided you all with some pictures there. It was pretty extensive amounts of cover-up. It's before the pond reports.
Starts at.
What's the green in the picture?
What green?
It's old
Yes.
paint,
Yes, it's old paint. Sorry, I'm scrolling to get to the picture.
39, right? It's 39.
Yeah, so they came through and patched over everywhere that there was graffiti painted. As you can see, it was quite a lot. They did also try to clean off some with graffiti removal. Some of it came off, and that's some of what you see running from the green paint. Some of it did work, some of it did not. So they came out and painted over and patched all of the different areas that the graffiti removal did not work on. That work has been completed. Let's see where
Wait, I want you to stop there real quick because I want to bring to your attention that the paint that you use on a storm water system, I believe TCEQ requires that you use concrete paint that is rated at a certain rate because it does go into the aquifer. And what your gentleman bought was interior, exterior glossy paint. The receipt, that's just written on the Home Depot receipt. That's what they used to paint this culvert. That is against the TCEQ rules for what you can use for a stormwater system. So we paid over $1,000 for this service from Infomark for 3 additional Infomark employees to come out here and paint this, and they used the wrong material.
I'll have to investigate that, but if that's the case, we can definitely rectify it. I mean,
Yeah, and I don't know how you get rid of the paint you've already put on there, but I would highly recommend that you get with TCEQ and get that paint description that they advise you use to cover graffiti on these concrete surfaces, and then make sure that whoever's doing that for this district uses the proper material.
Absolutely, can do. Next up is 1600 Old Mill. The street light is broken and hanging. PC has been notified to come out, and I think a ticket's been created. Do you know if they've fixed that one? No, not yet. We've communicated it over to them. And then last on my list is the rate order discussion topic. This has kind of come up multiple times. This paragraph has been edited quite a few times over the past, I don't know how many updates for the rate order. It's the section for the additional call-outs. In the past, that section was always formatted to state after hours overtime. With the changes, after hours was removed. However, I've actually asked around, and we don't have any districts that I'm aware of, and I did base this off of Cole as well, just to ask him to make sure it wasn't just an Infomark thing where you charge for normal business hours inspections. I understand you have a base tech, and I understand he is in this district. That doesn't always mean he's going to get to every little thing. If you have something on a meter reading day or cuts day, there's a hot chance he's not going to get to it. So I can't wait for someone else to, or for him to come around to being available to do things. And so with this, we had some work orders come up during the bills and invoices review. There were 2 or 3 that were during normal business hours. And Linda had asked us if we had back charged the customer, and I told her we had not. One of them was actually started in normal business hours and just ran, I think it was half an hour over into overtime. So it started before 4 o'clock and then it ran into overtime. And I think the only thing charged on that one was the overtime, and it was done by your tech. So you have the half-hour overtime charge on that. But with that, I just wanted to bring this to the discussion of the board to, and I think Cole agrees with me, that paragraph needs to be edited to be very clear. If we're going to charge people for normal business hour charges, it should be clear in that section that we can. Right now, it's open-ended because it used to indicate after hours, and now it doesn't indicate any sort of time frame. It's just a broad statement that says, if you call us out for any non-routine work, which is a very broad statement, then you can be charged or subject to charge. So with that, I wanted to ask the board to consider revamping or adding some additional language to the paragraph that would just specifically state during normal hours and after hours. So that way it's covered, and then when we have a resident that contacts us because they've received a charge on the bill, we point them back to that paragraph and we say, your rate order says X, Y, and Z, we can charge you for this.
Let me clarify this for the invoices that I did find. Non-routine services billable to the district. And I'm going to give you the example of the one for $550 because it was the biggest one. It was to investigate a leak, which is covered in our base fee, that $56,000 a month we pay to the operator to investigate leaks. This was during normal business hours. I did check the completion date against the read meter date. There was no conflict there. They were not reading meters on that date. And here's the problem that I have with this and why it needs to be back billed to the customer. Because we pay Infomark to do that in the base fee. The tech didn't do it. The operator who works for Infomark called out 2 technicians to go investigate that leak and then billed us for that service. What's the purpose of paying a base fee for that service and then being billed for that service as well? And it is not okay for the taxpayers of this district to pay for the identification of a leak in their irrigation system to the tune of $550 when they should have called a plumber to find that leak in their irrigation system, not 2 Infomark techs. Now, when during the day our full-time tech goes and looks for leaks because somebody's complaining, maybe their water bill's too high, maybe they suspect a leak, that is covered in the base fee. If he goes by himself, if he hand digs by himself, there is no bill, there is no charge. That's routine, it's listed as a service in the base fee. But when the operator calls out 2 more employees from Infomark and then bills us for that, that's non-routine. That is a non-routine service.
I'm not arguing with you wanting to do that.
We don't need
I-
to change the rate order. It clearly says it's not routine. It isn't routine. The contract is clear. That is covered when the tech does it. Otherwise, the operator has an open door to call out Infomark employees to do work that's covered in the base fee and bill us for it.
And that's not something we would do, first of all, and second of all, it does not happen very often that the tech can't get to things. So, like I said, you're going to have occurrences where your tech's in the middle of something, or whether it's meter reads, cuts, a full day of disconnects and reconnects, which happen occasionally. There are things that are gonna hinder him from getting to every single need of the district within the time frame he's here. And we're not gonna cause a leak or a sewer backup, which were the two items.
Those were the two this
We
month.
wouldn't, those are considered emergent items for us.
In the sewer one, he was present on site with a billable Infomark employee. Literally, you can pull the invoice if you want to pull it out of here. If you want to pull the work order, it's in here.
Is he unable to do certain tasks that he's not qualified for? He's qualified to do.
He's not on light duty any longer. He had an injury for a hot minute where he was, but he is no longer. We've gotten clarification of the clearance of all of that, so.
Well, that sewer inspection, he was on site because he has zero charges for his time. It was 2 hours, one for a billable tech and one for our 8-hour base fee tech.
And all
That, it was a one-person job to look to see if there was a sewer backup problem. We didn't need a second tech out here for that. So again, that's my point. You see, that's a hole in this system because you don't work for the district, you work for Infomark. So it's easy for you to call in another employee and then just bill us for it. We need to make sure that we get our base fee services for that $56,000 a month.
I understand that. My point is that I have no issues back billing it. I just wanted to have clearer language because you're not the ones who are gonna get the customer calls. That's gonna be us. And I don't feel that if you put language in the rate order to justify exactly what you're asking for, of just saying during normal business hours and after hours, is too much to ask for us to be able to show everyone who calls in that says, I shouldn't be getting charged for this, why am I getting charged for this?
So what you're asking is to amend the rate order just to change that language?
Include the language
don't
that
have a
will
problem with
allow
that.
us to back bill it. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not saying we won't, I'm saying
So-
we want clearer language to point to.
And that's something we can't do now, but we have to put in the future agenda.
Yeah, he can
change the
redline
rate
it
order.
and add it in.
Okay.
Well, we
I
don't even
an
have
issue
the
with
last
that.
rate order posted
Yeah,
yet,
we
or
don't.
did that get up today?
I believe it
This
should
is
be
the-
now. It was not added to the folder, the subfolder.
Yes, it's there. I added it. Everything's there.
Well,
When we looked-
the
when we
one,
looked the other
Should be
day, it
online.
wasn't.
Online, it
Yeah,
says
2
amended
months ago.
8/17/2022.
That's what we saw the other day.
That's what's on there now.
Okay.
the current
I
rate
think
order
when
that
I-
you looked over,
When I
that
checked,
we
I think it
approved,
did
is
get
not
put
out
in
there.
there.
Oh, okay.
But it doesn't matter because the language about non-routine services will be back charged to the customer did not change. That did not
Yeah.
change from,
Yeah, no.
from 22
Showing
to
that
the one you just looked
No,
at.
'cause we did-
I
we did
think
some
you
minor
but I don't
changes.
think
Right.
so.
2 months ago.
So that is not part of, that is not
So
changed.
that's not gonna make a difference.
No.
It's old and new.
And I don't understand, I mean, I don't object to putting in, that includes day and night. I think it is absolutely not warranted because a non-routine service is anything that is covered in the base fee that you're billing us for is a non-routine
But
service.
your residents don't understand that.
The-
Now, is it, when they call, is it explained to the residents, call a plumber? Is that?
Call
Oh,
the plumber
absolutely.
first.
Okay.
That's the first thing we ask them to do, but every single resident that gets told that says, we already did, they said it's on your side. Every single
Okay.
one of them.
And then are they told that any cost will be?
If it's after hours, but not
Not-
during business hours.
Okay.
Because like I said, we don't have a single MUD that charges anybody for anything done, whether they have a base fee or they have T&M for a normal business hour work. And I think you said.
Yeah, we don't either. That's, the theory is the operation and maintenance tax that residents pay goes towards that
Things of
service,
that nature.
providing those services. Yeah.
Well, then no, I want you to think about what you just said. If that were true, then anybody who had a suspicion of a leak calls between 8 and 5 or 7:30 and 4:30. And then they don't have to pay for a plumber to identify where the leak is. But if you call after hours, you're gonna get billed for it.
That's
How
not-
is that
That's
fair?
not true, because if it's on the customer side, we don't always know where it's at. We don't tell them where it's at. If we go out there and we look at your meter box and we say, okay, this is your meter, there's not a leak on either gasket, we go back towards the street, that's it. It just so happened to be that their irrigation head was right by their meter box and it was broken. So we noticed that it wasn't on our side, but it was leaking into the meter box, which is why they called in.
So why the 2 techs?
Do what?
Why the 2 techs? If all you're going is to the box, look at the meter, look at the gaskets, and backtrack, why 2 techs?
Because if it needs to be repaired, they have to repair it on site.
And you're telling us our tech can't do that?
It's not that your tech can't do it, your tech was not available this one day out of the entire month to
I
do
think
it.
let's just move forward and move on. I think we're spending too much time on this. I'd like to.
That's just, I literally have to keep a running list of every single work order that needs to be back billed to the customer because of services after hours, non-routine services during the day. As a taxpayer in this district, I am not in agreement of paying for somebody else's plumbing services, and that's basically what it boils down to. And
I'm not
and
asking-
their M&O taxes does not cover irrigation leaks on their side of the meter. That's not what it covers.
It shouldn't cover anything on the customer side of the meter,
Exactly.
no matter what.
And these
But I don't-
problems are on the customer side.
But we
The
didn't
sewer
fix
backup, there was no problem found at all. 2 techs went and looked at it, no problem discovered, and then because it was 2 techs and not just the base fee tech, we ended up with a bill for over $200 for the other guy to go with him to determine there was no problem.
And I just want to be very clear, I'm not asking the district to pay for any residences, anything. I'm asking for the rate order to be amended to provide clear language for us.
Put the
to
rate
be
order
able to do.
on next month's agenda, please.
That's
so
all
we
I'm
can-
asking for.
We can discuss that in.
There is just a whole lot of lists I have to keep to go back and check account histories to make sure they were back billed. It's literally, it's a
All
full-time
the
job.
ones you've asked for have been except for the business hour ones.
Okay. Is that it, Mackenzie?
You had a request for a landscape architect?
I didn't put that on there.
It's under your general manager
I
B.
understood.
Who put that item on there?
Cool.
On the agenda?
It's under 4B,
I did not include that on there.
future work.
I think we covered, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary regardless
Yeah, I
now.
think-
But I was
Covered.
wondering, number one, who put it on the agenda and what were they thinking they needed from a landscape architect?
No, it may have been something that Gabby put on the agenda based on listening to the minutes about wanting to bring someone in who had that experience, but that's all I can think
So
of.
there's nothing.
But no, there's nothing on that item.
So yes, then that covers everything. The.
And 4A,
What I was gonna say, one of the, auditor submissions is in the bottom of our report. Is it also in the other folder by chance?
We
Okay, so
have
it's
it.
Yeah,
on-
we have it.
that
Okay,
on
I
there.
just wanted to make sure that
New
wasn't the
business,
only
yeah.
place that it was residing.
No, I think I threw it in
What
there.
did you say? 4A?
4A,
That's yours, and I know I owe you new spreadsheets for the
Yeah.
breakdown and just.
And-
Last
and-
week and this one I haven't had time to.
we cannot renegotiate your contract because you have a clause in your contract that will not allow us to adjust your base fee.
Unless they're willing to amend that.
We'd have to have a contract amendment, in which case and as long as they've been here over 30 years, I would recommend that we don't renegotiate a contract, that we rebid it, and then you can bid us your current services. Because you don't do techs anymore, you don't do full-time support anymore, and I really cannot see the advantage of having those services in the district anymore, because just the example we just used, we have a tech and we still had to pay for a Infomark employee to come out here.
I think you get rid of your old dinosaur contract at this point.
Do what?
You can get rid of this old dinosaur contract.
No,
Yeah,
I-
that contract is not working for us. So We won't be renegotiating when the time comes after we get things squared away, but I do
Just
still
so
want
you
the
know, we were
report.
completely open to renegotiating, but you can do as you please.
Yeah, I think we need to
Actually,
read it.
we can do. It's not, yeah.
Well, Linda was the point person
Yes.
on
Yeah.
that
Yes.
item.
So I just have a few questions for you, and then we can move on to agenda
I
item
want
5.
to go over this as well with our agenda item.
Is that the
handout
parks?
But you can go ahead with your question.
Okay. I was going to ask you for any status on the Hatch lift station.
I don't have a status of the contract for that lift station. We were not managing them. The only status.
How many work orders have you cut in the last 30 days
You would
since
have
our
to
last
ask me
meeting?
that before board meeting. I don't
That
track.
should be part of your report, okay? Because this is a problem lift station.
I understand, but we are not the vendor in charge of the repairs for that lift station.
I'm not asking about the repairs, I'm asking, have you called wastewater transport to pump it? Have you called Alterman to do any
You
repairs?
said you would have to ask me this ahead of a board meeting, or I'm gonna have to get back to you. I don't have that
Okay.
on hand to tell you.
How about the reimbursement for the fire hydrant? That was on our,
I've reached out, actually, that was my other call with the insurance company. I have not heard back from your rep yet. I'm just waiting on a response from him. I did send it to Cole, and we determined we're gonna go ahead and seek it through insurance. Just waiting on a response to come back. They said that they were gonna investigate what I had sent in, which was this, sent in the same email I gave Cole, which is actually from, I believe, Williamson County. So it has all the information they need, so
you don't have an answer, and you
I
don't
don't
have
have
it
an
on the
answer.
light pole for Little Elm, the insurance claim?
we can, but the problem is unless you can prove it and there's no reportable incident of who hit it, I don't know that insurance is gonna cover it. So, just as an FYI.
Okay. How about status on the invoice from Jose Sanchez on the various projects that he submitted a proposal? We were supposed to get him to itemize each thing
Did he
on.
itemize anything?
No, you said you were gonna have Hanoi speak to him because he doesn't speak.
Translate.
Hanoi was going to translate.
Yes.
Yeah.
You
he
didn't
was-
get that?
No, I got nothing.
And I can tell you, we don't have very good experience working with people who we can't communicate well. So just keep that in mind. We'll do our best, but.
Then
if-
find 2 other general contractors who can come in and do that work that do not live in Burnett and are not called cuts and cleans. And because when you bring us proposals for work, you need to bring us 3.
We
A
can
minimum
ask
of
for
3.
free, but that doesn't always guarantee I'm gonna get them, especially because if the work isn't appealing to somebody, they likely won't bid it.
Is this overhead projector in this room working? Did you get it fixed?
It works, but it does not, the dongle system is
So it
not
doesn't
connect-
work?
This connectivity does not work. It works.
Yeah.
The connectivity does not work. We've talked to Touchstone about it. We've also asked them for a quote on new microphones. I spoke to Michael Willett about that. They're working on it. So we've been in contact with them about these things, but slow moving process. As far as this goes, I'm not sure if there's gonna be an easy fix, if it's not gonna be a new system, because the dongle system has to have the box in there turned to BVDVD. It's a very
So it's not working?
It's not.
Okay,
The connectivity.
put that on your list to figure out what it's going to take to get that to work, because when we do these meetings and we're looking at these documents, I want them displayed on a screen so that people who watch the video can see what we see. And would you ask Touchstone why they do not put our meeting videos on our own YouTube channel?
We don't have one.
Then
Can we
let's
get-
make one. They're
I
free.
have asked them.
They're free. So,
I understand that they're free, but 2 things. They have been asked, and Michael reached back out to me, and I confirmed 2 of his questions. One of those was timeline on how soon. I told him I was not aware, I didn't have a timeline, this was just a one-off request. Purpose of the channel, and I told him just so the district has their own, and if you want all archived videos moved to it, that's gonna take a lot of time.
the purpose of it is so that when somebody gets on YouTube, they can search WTC MUD1 and those videos will appear. Because if they do that now, they don't see them because you have to search Touchstone. And nobody in this district knows that that's who our provider is. So that's why it needs to be on a very
asked them-
transparent.
They're also gonna then have to manage a tertiary YouTube account, so that's gonna come with additional fees. It's not.
There is no more steps involved in uploading it to our own personal YouTube channel as it is to their own.
I'm just letting you know that I don't think anyone does things for free. And if they have to download, create, and manage a totally separate channel than what they already do for all of their other clients, you become the anomaly that they have to take extra steps for. So they might come back. I don't know that they will, but they
Let
might.
us know what additional charge to put us on our own channel.
I've asked them to do so, and I explained exactly as you did. It's simply so people can search for WTCMUD1 to pull up the videos.
And I'm waiting for you to send me the daily tasks of the tech
Oh,
as part of the gathering what's done in this district. I also,
you want to send it up?
did you have a chance to check on the Google Archive user license?
I have not, because we
Please.
talked about that 2 days ago.
Please do. These are for next month. I just want to get it reported on the meeting so
I
that.
will tell you, I have looked into it before, and in order to archive it, they expect you to do the download for it. But then Google can take up to 14 days, if not longer, to process that download and then deliver it to you. So that process is going to be quite cumbersome for you.
We may have the committee do that then. The Information Management Committee, they could certainly do that.
Yeah, you just have to essentially process through it all and then wait. And then once they get it, I have actually requested one before and didn't receive it for one of the previous directors' accounts.
We're paying full user licenses for previous board directors.
I was told that we couldn't get rid of them, so, by prior members.
You
Because
only
otherwise you
need to
lose.
keep that information for 4 years, I believe, is the retention schedule on a director's emails and data.
All of them are still within that range.
Exactly,
Yeah.
but you can have an archive user license that costs less and free up those active user licenses so that we can have accounts like Parks at WTCMUD1 instead of Parks at Infomart. We could use those accounts better so that information that comes into this district stays in this district and isn't in an Infomart email account. And that's everything on my list for you.
Alright, I wanted to touch base on some of these things. So, the little handout that Kelly had passed out, the bolts at Madeline Loop footbridge, that's actually scheduled for quarterly inspections, and the last one was done in August, so that is pretty much a done deal.
Yep.
We don't need that on here any longer. The second item there, the Sunchase inspection, that's been done. Bids to remove the treehouse, that's done. The, xeriscaping of the flower beds, we obviously got you guys that proposal, but we have just asked Lane Care to move forward with providing a proposal, or there is no proposal needed because what's there is working, it's just not sufficient enough for what's in the boxes. So that's a done deal item. Anderson Mill West, the pipe sticking out near the playground, that is a 4-inch drain pipe and must remain. So it's not something we can get rid of necessarily.
Did the safety inspection
I think it did, yeah.
hit that one? Because it's sticking right up. I mean, it's an impaling hazard.
I understand, but I don't, you'd have to,
Maybe you put a
Dig.
box around
I
it.
think we can get with Lane Care to dig down, put a 90 on it, bring it down more, and put a, well, it has to go down into a, I forgot the name of it, but it's a pipe that has holes and it just kind of seeps out.
Like a
you're
French
talking
drain?
about.
Yeah, like,
It's
yeah.
like a French drain, but it's not called a
Yeah.
French drain. You will ask, but that's
I mean, I think-
typically
I think we
an
got it.
engineer
An
gets
engineer, yeah,
involved in
yeah.
something like that, so we
We'll
can
take
ask.
care of it, Yeah, but it hasn't been done yet.
Yeah, so the moving of the benches at Sunchase, no update there. I'm assuming we're gonna include that within the RFP.
We're gonna wait till, you know.
Yeah.
Standing of Madeline Loop footbridge, I've reached out to both Certa Pro Painters and Tex Painting. Certa Pro Painters told me a week ago they would have me a proposal, I haven't gotten it yet, but they've been kind of behind, we've given them multiple jobs in other places, so, and they've been completing them. I'm just waiting on those proposals to come back. Once they're received, they will go over to the Parks Committee. 3 missing swings are done. The painting on the gazebo, same thing, Certa Pro Painters and Tex Painting, I'm waiting on quotes to come back. We did get a quote from, Cuts and Cleans, but y'all nixed that one, so we went out for additionals. Restriping of pickleball courts,
again, additional proposals were provided in tonight's packet, and I think we've provided one, possibly two prior to.
Stop right there for a minute.
Mhm.
Are you suggesting putting pickleball courts in the Anderson Mill
Yes,
tennis courts? Why would you have them in 2 tennis courts?
so that this court isn't overrun with pickleball users and they can utilize both courts. Because this being
Was
the
that a
only-
park committee recommendation?
I mean, it was an
I
old
think it was an old recommendation
recommendation,
from the previous park committee.
and I think we've talked about it, and y'all were curious about costs, and they need to be redone regardless, the surface needs to be redone, so we threw it in as an option, with the resurfacing of the courts.
And I will tell you that I fell down a rabbit hole in the last couple weeks researching the fantastic popularity of pickleball.
Yeah.
And we absolutely have got to do that and
Okay.
take some of the pressure off these courts.
Yeah.
So
So,
it's
I just
good for
remember
the
tennis
district.
instructors coming in here and literally crying about how hard it is to teach a kid to play tennis when they have pickleball stripes
Yeah.
on the court too. So I think they left that one pristine for that reason, but I mean, I don't know who's playing on the courts or what they're playing.
It's just for consideration.
We had a resident suggestion to segregate them, if you will, and to make, these courts only pickleball and Anderson Mill West only tennis, and I actually don't think that's the way to go. I think that is kind of favoriting the people who live
That
over
live on
on
this
this
side.
side and want to play pickleball, so I think
Plus, with it being striped for tennis, you're still gonna get tennis court players.
you still can get
regardless.
tennis court players, and there was some resident feedback on the color of the striping, what we can do to make it
We've
more,
just, yeah.
more visible. I mean, there's a lot of interaction, a real positive interaction
I had
from the
another
residents.
district where we were considering a new pickleball court. We've never had resident attendance at this meeting. Over 40 people showed up the moment that pickleball got mentioned. And it was a whole community of people that played
It's a big
pickleball.
community.
And
It's
there was
huge.
an 80-year-old and a 6-year-old in the crowd, and they were like,
They-
both of them play.
They could play each other.
Mm-hmm. So,
That's what's awesome.
tree trimming along El Salito has been completed by Land Care. Anderson Mill West, the 2 prongs sticking out, we've contacted the company that originally made it. Did we get anything back from them? It's a district sign. It's
It
an
used to
old-
be.
Yeah, it's an old district sign. We've taped off the poles
Oh, okay.
with the orange fencing tape. It's the 2. My recommendation is if it's not of interest to the board to replace it, we can just remove it. It's gonna take a crew to do it because it's concreted pretty far down. We've tried to move them and wiggle them. They don't currently wiggle, but we can do that. I don't think it would be very much, but you're not gonna see your base tech do it alone.
Okay, what did the sign have on it?
It said,
There's a sign right out front that says
it's the same
thing.
exact thing that you see almost in every single park.
What's the
The
cost?
green sign.
Just
I think we asked them and they didn't respond yet. We can ask again, but
Wasn't that the sign that said that this park was paid for by some funds of?
No, that's.
no. This
that's-
is one of the green signs.
just see if you can order it. That seems like the cheapest way to deal with this.
Okay.
Get us the cost on that by next
If
time.
we can't get them, can you ask Austin Sign Co? Sure. They're local and they do great work. Tree trimming along Anderson Mill West Park and Sunchase Park. I believe that has all been completed at
Yeah.
this time.
Can you reach out to, Sunscapes? No, not Sunscapes.
Lane Care?
Lane Care,
I
sorry.
was like, please don't ask me that.
No, to Lane Care, cause coming in from the entrance from 620, there is, right in between Walgreens and the daycare, there is a branch that is hanging over the sidewalk. It's been like that for a little while, so.
I think we have a picture of that.
I'm just wondering why they haven't taken care of that.
I think
Pretty
it's because
visible.
it's outside of their
Is it?
scope,
Is
so
it?
they're gonna need to provide a proposal.
But I thought
That was
there-
also asked of Sunscapes to do before they left, because a piece of that
Was it-
limb fell off.
So isn't the front entrance way in their scope of work?
It is, but that's above 8 feet.
No, it's not. It's,
Oh, then
it's
this is a
hanging,
then this
it's
is a
hanging
different
like
one.
right here, like you walk and you can't.
But it doesn't go by where the limb touches you, it goes by where the limb is in height on the tree. So 8
Okay.
feet up the trunk of a tree,
Right.
it's not where the limb hits you. But I'm pretty positive the one you're asking me about, Sunscapes was supposed to take care of the limb. So either way,
Just reach out
I'll
to
get a
them and
quote
see.
from Lane Care and we'll And you said 620 near the Walgreens, right?
In between Walgreens and the
Daycare?
daycare.
One second. We've already talked about the irrigation leaks and issues, and I think for the most part, we've gotten figured out. We also communicated over to Lane Care to do a bit of an irrigation inspection on things, to figure out if we've got leaking valves. So far, I think the only one they found was the stuck valve in Andersonville West. They've made adjustments elsewhere, and I think that we've had 1, possibly 2 leaks within the last month that they have fixed. So they're actively working through to make sure there's no system leaks on the irrigation side for everywhere within the district and repairing as they go. So long as it doesn't exceed a certain amount, then they'll bring us a proposal to the board. So they're taking care of that. We've already talked about the nighttime lights at Sunchase. I have not made it very far with the RFP. I do apologize. My main focus has been with FEMA this month. But I do have access to a website now that, for the entire state of Texas, actually, utilizes RFPs. But now that we have a new engineer on board, I would highly recommend we work with them to do this, because in the past, that's what we've done, is we've worked with your engineer to develop and produce RFPs, and then move forward with them. So I think we can shift focus over with that. As far as your last item on here, Kelly, I'll have to check with Park Protect on that one, along with the Q1 inspection stuff. So other than that, that pretty much almost completes the entire list with a few additional items.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
But we did approve, I recall, $3,500 for painting the gazebo.
You did, but you wanted additional proposals. You didn't want to move forward with just the one. I'm just waiting on those to come
Okay.
back. We've had both of those vendors tied up in other districts right now, so.
Can we put this on the website with the attachments for the meeting so people can?
That specifically? Or do you just want everything?
Are you okay with that, Kelly? So
Why don't you let me update it, because I've written
Yeah.
all over it.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and
Well,
provide
okay, yeah,
updates
just
to the actual spreadsheet. We'll download it from the
Yes.
Google Drive and then
Yes.
attach it, because this is only a small snippet of what's
It's-
actually up there.
So I could print it for the ease of printing.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
just so they
Yeah.
have something to reference it.
And this is Parks Committee.
It's a like
Well,
parks tracker.
it's a parks tracker, just so we can all look at the same things.
That concludes anything. Kelly, did you have anything?
No, not till parks.
No worries.
We just did Parks.
Well, oh wait, she said she wanted to do it as part of her.
Because I do a parks section in
Yeah.
mine, and I'm the one that had the majority of the updates, so.
Okay, but we're still gonna do.
Yes.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll give you,
I was mainly just asking in specifics with what we've discussed, so I'm not.
okay, does anybody else have anything for Mackenzie? No more
Yeah.
questions? Moving on to agenda item 5, committee assignments and reports. Parks Committee, go.
Thank you, Director Fobb. I would like to, at this time, I would like to make a motion that we direct Westwood Engineering to help us prepare a RFP for the park at Sunchase.
I'll second that.
Playscape, right?
Playscape,
From their landscape architect.
from their, well, yes, from their whole park support team.
All right, got a motion,
I'll second.
second.
All in favor?
Hi.
So for Justin's sake, do you all mind?
Yeah, not a problem, I'll coordinate.
Parks Committee and Mackenzie and coordinating, or I'm sorry, it was Jacob.
Jacob?
Yeah, sorry.
I was like,
Can we give him an assignment before he signs his contract?
He's not gonna work on it until he returns the
Yeah.
contract, so, yeah.
doesn't mean I can't email him.
Yeah,
He gave me his card.
yeah.
Okay. Is that all you had for Parks?
Yes, we covered everything with
Everything
Mackenzie.
else?
Yeah.
And Mackenzie, you did say that all the swings in the district now have been replaced?
No, just the ones you approved, the 3 missing, and then there were additional repairs needed to bring the ones in Anderson West up to compliance, and I think a few over here.
Yeah, didn't we approve it was like.
41, 35.
It was, but it was only, double check. But it specified the parks that it was for. Give me 1 second.
I thought that was all of them except Anderson Mill West because they'd already been done. They had a separate not to exceed. It was every swing in the district.
I'm looking. Give me 1 second. Futures.
Look, August 22nd, that's the
It
meeting.
was 15 complete swing set repairs, toddler buckets and all that. It doesn't say where. I can confirm, but I'm fairly certain it was only here, Anderson Mill West, and I think the Pocket.
I thought it was every swing that had a
I'll
critical non-compliance.
Look at the August 22nd meeting, that's where it was.
I'll confirm with him. I mean, I have another list of items for him, so I'll confirm with Dustin, but I'm fairly certain they've already been done. So I will confirm where all took place.
With the ones at Anderson Mill West, it makes that whole park look different to have every swing hanging. It really makes a difference, so. All right, do we, David, do you have anything on
No,
parks?
thank you.
Anything on infrastructure?
Nothing.
Nothing? Information Management Committee is Hanoi and Beth, they're absent. Budget Committee, that is me and Hanoi, and there's no really new news other than what Lisa presented tonight, but I did want to make mention that October 1st was the start of our 2024 fiscal year, and that I'm hopeful that we can be positioned to track expenses going forward. And we're on agenda item 6 now, old business, refunding customer deposits in excess of $200. Please see that agenda item 6A. These are reports that are now obsolete because people move, and when people move, they get their deposit refund back. So in order for this to ever work, we have to be in sync time-wise. But the first attachment shows it was an enormous amount of checks, totaling $90,000 to refund. And I did get with Lisa and Ashley, and they said in order to cut that many checks, and it was 200 and something. My numbers aren't showing on the spreadsheet. It was over
I
200.
can't get it to zoom in. I know. It's all fun.
It was over 200 checks, and Artisan would charge us $33,000 to cut that many checks. And that was my first pass where I said anything $300 and over, refund with the check. But when she told me $33,000, I went back in Plan B in that same board packet. I put the limit at a check refund $400 and over, and it came out to, I want to say 62 checks total, for an amount of $42,000. And I don't have a cost from Artisan on cutting 62 checks. That would mean that every other account, which is plenty, that are over $200 would need to have a credit. You were going to get with AVR?
Yeah.
What are they going to charge us?
It's not going to be AVR, it's a manual process for us to do it.
And what is the cost to do?
I'd have to know an exact number, and I didn't know that this was going to be your finalized list, but they basically said it would likely be, I think she said 10 hours minimum, and I can build you a cost real quick.
So Linda, I have the email here that I sent you. I said I thought it would take 20 to 25 hours at an hourly rate of 150. There's 350 transactions, not all of them require a check.
Yeah, because you added the checks and the credit backs, but just the checks I think was
Right.
230 something, as I recall.
Yeah, it's, I don't have that exact number.
And I did it by $150 for your number of hours, and it came out to about 30.
That's $3,037.50.
Oh, that's all?
Well,
I must have done
$33,000.
I must have done a math
That's
problem.
where I was thinking.
Let me look at that
I've never had an invoice in my life for $33,000.
In my head, I was like, wow, Lisa really did not want to do that.
Yeah, that's what I thought
That was
too.
a lie.
That's what I thought too.
Well,
when-
and at the time, this was in September, we're still onboarding, and the timing.
Of course, the
is
timing was
not
horrible,
good.
and I told you we didn't need to do it right away.
Yeah, 20 to 25 hours, and that's an estimate. You know,
Right, right.
I'm giving you what I'm.
So 150 times 25 hours
Yeah.
is 3,007,
$3,037.
much more affordable.
Yes.
And actually a much better approach where we knock 200 and some of these, whatever it is, 232 accounts, we clean them up immediately because you can do it with a check. And then that only leaves very little for Infomark to credit back.
We would like to try to also time it over like maybe 2 months or something like
Yeah.
that. Because again, you know,
If-
we all
if-
have limited bandwidth with the number of
Of
people that
course.
work. So,
Absolutely.
and of course, we're still doing a lot of work, so we'd like to space it out.
There is no rush because this is, they don't even know it's coming. We still have to make them
It
aware.
probably needs to be, because sometimes somebody go, well, guess what, I just got a check, and they go, well, I don't get a check.
It would need to
I have
come
thing."
with a letter,
So,
the whole, or.
Yeah, we
you know.
don't want people to get all upset and then more phone calls and stuff.
This was literally a look at how many accounts we would have to refund, or we will be refunding, because we changed the rate order to not hold on to
Right,
people's
I
money
remember that,
for deposits that are unnecessary.
not to keep building on it.
There are 8 accounts that have over $1,000 in deposits in them.
I was gonna say,
Those
those
need to
people
be
need help.
refunded.
Christmas.
The amount you'd be looking at it in from Martin, depended upon how many it is. For 10 hours of work, it'd be roughly $1,300 to add them back on the accounts.
So I'm gonna have to do it again because,
I know.
you know, People
That's what I'm
move.
saying, is it's gonna be hit or miss depending on what, how many it's gonna be.
that's.
It'll be we'll give you an estimate, but it'll be T&M and they're gonna high bid you, and she already told me she thinks it'll be lower than.
And then there are, I don't know why my line numbers didn't transfer over, so I can't tell you an exact number, but we have an enormous amount of accounts. The lion's share of our accounts have no deposit on file. They also don't have any indication that they're not making their payments, so I guess it's okay to have accounts with no deposits and then accounts with excess deposits on them. There's no consistency in this.
Well, all the old ones, all the ones with no deposits are very old.
No,
accounts, I imagine.
no, that is not the case. There are some here from 2020, there's some here from,
Why would that be?
I'd have to look, I mean, I couldn't tell you without looking at the account. I know that, I don't know within this district, a lot of our other districts used to have really old rate orders that after X amount of time you got your deposit back. So that could be why a good
Right,
portion of it,
that,
but.
that makes sense, but.
And I've only been here since 2020, so if you had a rate order prior to that that did state it, it could make sense why it would have happened for some accounts, even if it came up in 2021. I'd have to look at the account.
I see one on Dayflower Trace from August of 23 that has 0 deposit.
That's probably because we haven't received it yet. It's just now October, and it comes to us on their first bill. So if they moved in August,
They pay in September.
they may not have gotten a bill in September, depending on when they moved in and started service. So there's likely going to be one that shows up after October.
There's a lot with 0. So, and that's not a problem. If they ever get into that process where they get their water turned off, they would be required to put a $200 deposit on file.
Well, they're all going to be required at startup, so.
I'm talking about these accounts that already
Okay,
exist with
okay.
a 0 balance.
Gotcha. I'll have to look at them. My computer died, so I'm gonna grab my trash.
And so anyways, that's how this looks. So there was a Plan A, and now that I've done the better math, and it's only $3,700 for Artisan to do
Back to
it,
plan A.
Plan A would be what I
You wanna pay
recommend.
me $33.
That would be the plan I recommend because it takes care of the lion's share of overages quickly. But we can look at this, we don't have to do it tonight. We also have to figure out how we notify people, because as Lisa explained, you get a check in the mail, the envelope doesn't look familiar, you throw it in the trash, and they have to chase down every one of these checks until they clear, so we don't want that to happen either. So, put this, if you would, please, Cole, put this back on the agenda for next month, and we'll have a draft of how we notify these people,
Okay.
and then break it up for Lisa, so she does some in 1 month and some in the other. Are you done now with gathering the audit information for 2023? Are you finished with that?
Yes, we're still doing some reconciliations. There's some things that we're still waiting for. As Ashley had said, we're still waiting for some answers to come back. And so there's still a few things before we can actually say the reconciliation's finished. Once it's finished, then from there, it'll be easy to generate the report. So,
And then when do you start working with the auditor?
so the timeline is in our contract. We always say that 60 days, after 60 days, but because of the situation, the timing, we're going to try really hard to be able to get that to the auditor in 60 days. The TCEQ requires that that audit has to be approved and filed 135 days from the end of the fiscal year. So that's sometime in mid-February or something like that. But, you know, the auditor, of course, needs time. So we typically, our deadline for our September 30 year end would be November 30. And so from that point, they would probably have it ready for a January meeting for the board to review, and then at that point, they would, if approved, it would submit.
What I'm trying to do is figure out when you will be done with all that audit work, and you would have time to be cutting these checks.
If we can be on time, I would say it might be closer to December 15th. We certainly don't want to, you guys were already 6 months late on your last audit, so we're trying really hard to make sure your auditor, and they understand. It's tough though, because the majority of the districts in this industry have a September 30th.
Right.
And that's just typical, actually, in a lot of, even in the private sector. So I'm not sure who you're going to end up hiring, but they should be able to have it ready by January. We'll be done with it in December.
You'll be done in December. So my real question to you is, in January, would you have
Yes.
the ability to
Yes.
cut some of these
January,
refund
February,
checks?
absolutely.
Okay, January, February.
They
Okay.
can pay their credit cards.
From Christmas.
Christmas with the money they
Um, So if we shoot for that, that gives us time to get all the other supporting documents ready.
Yes, that's feasible for us.
Okay. Thank you. So there's nothing really to do on that, that's the old business. Yeah, I even wrote 33,000 on my notes here.
Like I said.
I know, it was a good day if it would have worked.
Zeros.
And we moved 6B up on the agenda, that was hiring the engineer. And 6C, annual renewal of the insurance policy, TML.
That is a reoccurring, and it has been renewed. Your rates did not change.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to be quiet here.
Are you looking for these checks? We haven't signed them all yet, we're
Oh.
working on it.
Okay.
We will circulate the renewal document for signature, but do they need to approve it if nothing changed?
I would.
Okay, and I'll add it to the thing. I thought I had added it, my apologies. So I'll add the annual renewal in there, and then you all can take a look at it between now and next month, and then we can approve it next month.
And if you would be so kind, and I want to see the last 4 renewals, because when I look at old budgets, it was what we paid TML, and maybe it was a different insurance, I can't tell.
You've had TML since I've been here.
It was a very reduced amount, minuscule, 2,000, 3,000 a year. What are we paying 16,000 for?
What do you mean?
There's another insurance that we now have that is much higher, considerably
So
higher.
you have crime, you have bond, you have workers' comp, you have director insurance, you have obviously your infrastructure insurance. You have multiple different, your TML is specifically your district insurance for the infrastructure within the district. I'll have
Oh,
to
that's what that one's for?
That's what TMLs is for. Your director's bonds are through Hartford/Victor. And I'll have to look and see, but I don't recall which one is 16,000.
And that's just a number off the top of my head. I
Was
will
it in
get
an
you.
old budget?
Yeah, it was in a
I
budget.
wonder-
Um,
Did we actually pay that much, or
I
was
have
that
no
just a
idea.
budgeted amount?
I don't know.
Okay.
I just noticed, and it says TML next to it, so that was my question. So if we have insurance on the infrastructure, is insurance paying for that lift station?
That's what I'm getting an update on, is they're gonna have to get with the engineer, they're gonna have to get involved with where they are in the process. But yes, there is a good chance you're gonna get reimbursement. They're gonna basically start asking for all the insurance, or the invoices, which I hope are in Herb's records, because they come through Gray Engineering to y'all, correct?
Yeah, but we have them in the bills and invoice
Okay,
packages.
so we should be able to pull all those, but, that was the portion of the phone call that I called about and asked then after about the hydrant. So as soon as I get an update, I will get the adjuster's information. I was last told that they likely wouldn't come out until closer to completion, and then they compile everything, because they obviously weren't on site when it happened, so there's no point for them to come out until it's completed. So they'll analyze the data compiled throughout the project, and then award payment towards the end of whatever they feel justifiable.
Okay, since we can't do anything on that because you don't have that
That's why I'll put it
information,
in there for
that'll
next
give me time to pull the ones I want you to compare, because it's insurance with a tremendous increase, and I wasn't sure what it was for.
If it's like if it's anything over 10,000, that's probably your equipment. That's probably district facilities.
That's what I'm
'Cause
thinking.
most districts are paying between 30 and 70 maybe annually for facilities, and you will only have a lift station and 3 lift stations. So yours would be considerably less. But I'm looking at the TML right now, and that's workers' comp. You've got, let's see, the board, elected officials.
TML does their infrastructure insurance too.
Okay, this one that I'm looking at doesn't have that on here. This just has elected officials for the board.
Yeah, I have a copy of the one that itemizes like each park, structures for the parks, things like that. I think the declarations page.
I'll share with you what I saw, and then I'm sure you can fill in the blank why.
Sure.
Because I didn't realize there were that many different insurance policies.
And it was a budgeted amount?
I believe so.
Well, typically there's one insurance provider and they just cover all aspects.
Okay. So we're done with that? We're now on agenda item 7, new
Can I-
business.
can I
Oh, I'm
interrupt
sorry,
for a
I
second?
apologize, please.
Can we, for just a very, nobody grown, can we go back to parks on 5A for just one moment?
Sure.
I noticed there's a new set of rules here in the folder on the agenda item for this one. Did you do those, Cole?
That's the amendment where you all wanted to change the guest pass from one, or the pass holders 1 guest to 3.
So I am still neck deep in drafting new rules that will be forthcoming, and there is progress being made on those, but that's the only change, right? Yes.
That's the only thing I've changed in that. So, and that is a living doc. Well, what I can do is if you want to send me your changes, or I can send you our document and you can make changes in that, or whatever is easiest for you, and then we'll incorporate them into those park rules.
I think she's revamping the entire
Yeah.
thing, so
Okay.
there won't be
So-
really
Do we need to publish that
Yes.
rule change
Yes.
for the 3
For the
people
three.
on a
Yes.
car?
Might as well, and
Might
then
as well.
that
Since you've
gives
already
Kelly
done
a little bit of time too to work through.
That's what I would do. If that's the only change, let's make that public, so that our residents understand that. So I move that we adopt the park rules as published in this folder.
Second that.
We'll send them to you.
Me?
All in favor?
Yeah,
Okay, a clean version?
yeah. Just so they don't go wonky when you download them off Google.
You got that? Kelly motion, David second?
I
Yeah.
did.
All in favor?
Yeah.
You already called it?
All right, and now you can.
Everybody's a helper.
You can go to 7. Thank you for your indulgence on that.
7A, okay.
Hold on. Please. Yeah, 7A, new business. Consider engagement letter for the auditors.
So.
We had two.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, we've received 2 engagement letters from the auditors. Both of them are in your packets. If anyone hasn't read them, I mean, they're both essentially the same. You know, you've got one, I'll go over both of them. One is from accounting firm of Donald Allman. He represents one other municipal utility district. His estimated fee is between $15,000 to $16,000 with a do not exceed 16. And then the McCall Gibson Swinland Barfoot engagement letter. They're a firm. They have offices in Houston, Dallas, and Austin. They specialize in the mud world. And their rate, I believe, is 13 to 16 with a do not exceed of 16. 14 to 16.
Wasn't it 12 to 14?
No, it's 4. I think it's on page 4.
Yeah, I got it.
Range between 14 to 16. So cost-wise, it's essentially the same between both groups. I've never worked. Obviously everything's board decision. I've never worked with Don Allman. I spoke to him briefly on the phone, looking at his qualifications for other MUDs. I know he does Fern Bluff MUD, which is a relatively close neighboring district. And then he's done, let's see, it looks like a Jonah Water Special Utility District, which is different than a MUD, and a Water Supply Corporation, again, a different auditing standards than a MUD. I have done a lot of work with McCall Gibson. They have a team that is, in my opinion, top-notch in terms of their auditing work. But those are, I mean, I can't speak for Mr. Allman. I just have never worked with him, so.
Well, I can also speak for McCall Gibson. I've worked with them quite a bit. They have over 500 districts that are all specialty, governmental, some nonprofits, but they have a tremendous amount of experience working with MUDs. And again, this is a very niche industry, very unique, and so they understand the requirements under TCEQ. So we fall not just under the state, but the TCEQ for requirements. It's how we do the books, and so they have a very high standard. They've been around for over 30 years, and I've worked with probably a third of my districts or more at McCall Gibson. They do a great job.
We also work with them. And they're great.
You want to make a motion?
I move we hire McCall Gibson as our new auditor.
I'll second that. All in favor?
And I think they have a 1295 sit in front of you, Linda. Their 1295, their engagement letter. They do 2 different types of engagement letters. I'll just give you a brief highlight because you'll see the one that you've got. One they do on an annual basis where they bring it in every single year for you all to look at. The other one they do, it's an evergreen letter. It just means that it renews every year. The 30-day termination clause still exists, so you can terminate at any time without cause. It simplifies the process. So because really they come to you all maybe twice a year, it simplifies the process of not having to bring a new agreement every year. If you all want them to do that, I can send an email to Chris and he can send over that agreement if you all want. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that. It's kind of most of our districts now that you've allowed to go to Evergreen, do that Evergreen strictly with the auditor just because it allows them to, every year the auditor will come in with a letter of representation reminding the board, hey, we represent you all, these are our services again, if you have any questions, and then these are what our estimated fees are for the next audit. So they do that every year no matter what. But
I do want to say that both of these engagement letters from both of the different auditors, I'm getting really close. No auditor, this is the most disappointing thing to me, no auditor that audits MUDs looks for anything other than materially correct. They don't look for fraud, they don't look for adhering to contracts, they don't look for anything like that. They look for all these checks were written and for this amount, and that's how much they took out of the bank. It's really just that simple. So if you ever want to look deep into the books, you have to hire a forensic auditor or a forensic accountant to do that. These auditors do not do that for MUDs.
They do samplings. So
Yeah.
They do
will take-
samplings.
Yes, they do.
Yes,
And so it's, yeah, obviously they're not.
for material correctness.
Right, they're not, no, they pull samples and they look for, you know, is the data matching, is it legitimate, is there a proper invoice behind it, is there, and so they do dig deeper. There are some districts who, because we're a bookkeeping firm and not a CPA firm, so we're producing reports, not official financial statements. So when they audit something that's not a financial statement, then they have to do a materials weaknesses letter stating that. So they're basically creating the financial reports based on what we've given them and then auditing that. Some districts will pay for two firms, one firm to do the financial statements, one to audit it. I don't think that gets you what you want. A true forensic audit is a very expensive endeavor. But I'll be honest with you, Ashley has quite a bit of experience working with auditing firms, both while she was interning and also as part of her job. And what we've done is basically almost a forensic, I mean, I can't say it's a forensic audit because she's not a CPA, but we have done a deep dive into every single one of your records for the past year. And so we have not found anything other than, you know, questions we have here or there, or are things coded properly. I mean, they did, you know, obviously they understand better than we do even how to code everything. So we're learning that from them so they can communicate that to us. But we're going over every single thing. And so an auditor is providing what's exactly required by law.
Right.
But there are checks that we do for fraud. I mean, we're constantly on the lookout for that, and they do the same thing. So they just do random samplings
Right.
with the thought that if something's going wrong.
For instance, that AWBD check from last year that only had 2 signatures. Obviously, that wasn't a part of the sample that was delivered to the auditor. Otherwise, they would have triggered on that because it requires 3 signatures.
Again, it might have been sent and they may not have seen it, because again, they can't look at every single
Exactly.
piece of paper and every
Exactly.
single transaction.
I think the message I was trying to convey to people who think that an audit of this district records includes that deep dive, it doesn't. It doesn't. And that's all I wanted to say about that. So moving along, discuss rescheduling the November and December meeting due to the holidays.
They don't land on holidays, but we put this on all our agenda because we know that it's near holiday time and people have travel plans, so we want to make sure you all can look at the dates and see.
So our November meeting would fall on the 15th.
Mhm.
And our December meeting, if we held it on the 3rd Wednesday of December, would be December 20th. And admittedly, that's really close for people who travel. Me in particular, I'm traveling. I won't be here on the 20th. So I don't see an issue with the November 15th meeting. That's far enough away from the holiday. But the December 20th meeting, I do see as potentially conflicting with people who travel for the holidays. So we could consider moving the December meeting to the 13th, the Wednesday before.
I would agree with that.
You're okay with that? Does that work with your
That-
schedule?
Yeah, I think so.
Mackenzie?
Let me triple check.
Yes. Then can I get a motion to move the December meeting to the 13th?
We move the December regular meeting to December 13th.
I will second that. All in favor?
Just wait roll call. Yeah, I got it.
What's Cole doing?
Checking to see if you can.
I just want to say, I mean, we can do it, but it's going to be,
Really
it's gonna be really tough for us. It's a really, really tough week.
To deliver the bills and
To
invoices?
deliver the reports and everything. I mean, we can make it happen, but.
We won't
probably
ask
because-
Ashley any questions.
It'll definitely be a challenge for us, because that's our, second week is our busiest week by far. And so.
But you know, Lisa, our contractors cannot submit after the 5th of the month. You're not supposed to be paying anybody
No, I know
who
that.
submits after
That's
the
the same
5th.
agreement we have with everyone else.
So that gives you a week and a day,
But to do you and everyone else.
and everybody else.
Cole,
Yeah. So,
you good?
motion by Kelly, seconded by you.
Yeah, and now we need a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I guess Cole said he can.
So the December
yeah,
meeting
yeah,
will be
sorry.
on the
Sorry.
13th, and the November meeting will stay to the 15th. Item 7C, discussed attendance at the Association of Water Board Directors Winter Conference. Who put this on the agenda, Cole?
That I don't know, because I must have been emailed to Gabby, if someone emailed it. Or it was something that she picked up on the meeting and wanted to add it to. I'm not
I see.
exactly sure.
Um,
We will remove it, but.
Well, we can discuss it. Number one, we are not members, because we haven't paid dues for this month, or for this year, for 2024. So I believe is it
Your members through December 31st.
is it through December? Okay, I wasn't sure if that's on fiscal year or calendar. I haven't seen it. I went to their website to look at the next event, which is in October, and it's a webinar, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's in the one in the city of Houston.
Yeah, in Houston, and it's two politicians coming to talk about how successful they've been. I don't see how that benefits MUD board directors who, we got a paralegal, we have a city worker, and we have a retiree, and honestly, the success of those two politicians will not impact us here.
Not for that event. I would probably agree with you that that's more of those events that are held like that one in October are more dinners, and you go and you it's people who are talking about the industry. So it's the conferences, the midwinter conference and the summer conference that's when you have all the seminars directed towards directors. So those are what's beneficial to the directors, in my opinion.
I looked real closely at their site, and this isn't the first time. I did this several years ago when previous boards used it as an opportunity to vacation. And I am just flabbergasted by an association of water board directors. I counted 3 water board directors out of all members of the board and all committee members. These are professionals like yourselves. These are people who do businesses with MUDs running this organization. To me, it looks like a lobby group. It doesn't look like an association for water board directors. It's a lobbyist group who wants to keep MUDs flourishing in Texas because that's how they make their money.
Well, I can tell you the purpose of AWBD is to educate directors. And directors are one of the few elected officials that aren't required to have hours of training. If you're on a hospital board, if you're on a school board, if you're a county official, I myself was on school board and had to have a minimum number of hours. I very much have pushed for AWBD to consider doing a voluntary certification of board members because I feel it is very important. I think AWB has a lot to offer, and if it's been a while, maybe take a look and see what they don't usually release until January, what's going to be on sessions. But I'll tell you, and I think I told you the story in 1998, someone from Andersonville MUD did a fantastic presentation on how districts could use excess operating monies for all kind of different projects. I went back to Sugar Land, Texas and said, hey, I learned this at the seminar, and we were able to do some great projects just like what you have here. I think that I've participated in the program committee, I've participated in the recognition committee, I served on the board, and I do believe I believe it's the board members that can abuse the situation. But I do think that you all are very responsible board members. And I don't want to say that the organization's at fault, board members took advantage of and, didn't really attend or, paid for it to be a free vacation. As I said, you can learn a lot about it and not even have to spend the money attending. You can see the sessions online. They actually do a fantastic one, and this has been about 6 years now, called Board Member 101. And it's one of the best sessions we ever created. It's about 6 hours long, and someone from each level, operator, engineer, they talk about what they do, what their job is, what they do for directors, and you're there to learn a lot. I think it's very important, and anything that, as an elected official, it's a great way to learn.
Well, we have not paid, because we are paid up until December, right?
31st.
December
I mean,
31st.
they'll send bills out in January,
Yeah.
and we usually pay them. They're coming, they should be coming.
We'll discuss that. There's no action to take on that item, and we can discuss it with the rest of the board when the bill comes in. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about it other than what their website professes, and it appears to me that it is an association of
I think
MUD
that's the-
service providers.
Right. And I get it, I felt the same way too.
It's
You
a-
have to
it's a
remember,
lobby group.
MUDs are under attack, and special districts are under attack all the time. And legislators are constantly wanting to take away and weaken powers of MUDs. And allow counties or other entities to step in and have more, say. And I don't think you guys would want the county or anyone else telling you how to do your job and giving you limitations. So they do lobby for free. There are attorneys in the industry, 2 of them sit on the advisory committee, and then to no charge to anyone, they do lobby. Of course, it is for the betterment of the industry, and you could say, yeah, it's protecting their job, but it's also protecting this industry. I firmly believe MUDs and other special districts, and the reason Houston has been able to persevere under terrible economic situations over the last 3 or 4 decades.
I'm not going to deny that they don't have merit. I just don't know if it is the end-all, be-all of a solution for.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's the only one. So, there's Case, but Case is so limited, and it's such a. It's here in Austin, but it's kind of.
It isn't in Austin, actually.
No,
Or
usually
their
based out of
conferences, they
They
may
are
be based.
based out
They're
of
based
Austin.
out of Austin, yeah. So they can't offer as much, but.
Well, we will look at it, and I will go on their website and see if I see any of their previous business advertised so that I can see exactly what a session contains. Like I said, what they have listed for happening in October wouldn't be.
Yeah, it's just.
I agree.
It wouldn't be worth it.
Look at the previous summer conference.
I will,
Be a good
I
thing
will.
to look at.
So we'll move on to 7D, authorized preparation of TPDES Phase 2 MS4 General Permit Annual Report.
Y'all haven't had this in the past, but a lot of attorneys will put just an authorization on there for your annual report to be put together. We will do your training in December as we typically do during the December meeting. So if you want to notate that, Cole, I think that covers agenda item 7F. We always do the training during the December meeting. We do it at the beginning of the meeting, so it'll be on that agenda. And then we take that agenda, it goes into your annual report before it goes off. So your annual report will be submitted after the attendance of the December meeting.
So
And Infomark prepares the annual
Correct.
report.
that's D, E, and F, all 3?
Yes.
Okay.
So the training is done, we do the PowerPoint presentation, and then we take the agenda from that and the PowerPoint presentation to the final 2 items that go into the annual report, and then it gets sent off
Okay.
before December 31st.
So do you want us to just remove it from the agenda for November?
Yeah, we don't need it for November, but add it, make sure we have a line item for the training for December, because we need it on the agenda for the annual report.
Okay. We're gonna leave it standing.
We typically do it directly after public comment unless y'all have any objection to that, board. That way the public is still here and present for the presentation, they can learn from it, things of that nature.
Okay, so You did 7D and F together, so we'll just go on to 7E. Stormwater Committee meeting to review current year requirements and schedule annual training. I don't think we have a Stormwater Committee.
You did, I don't know if we do now, but it was just the infrastructure committee meeting, which I think it was now David and Hanoi. So we'll need to get you two together. We used to do it with the engineer because the engineer puts together your stormwater management program. They put together a new one last year and helped develop the checklist. So it would involve your new engineer. Jacob.
Where is that program
What program?
that Herb put together last year?
It's on the website, I believe.
And is that something that's required annually?
It's not required to be redone annually, however, there is a new program going into effect this year that will likely require changes. They're requiring additional verbiage, additional language to certain things. So there's likely gonna need to be a revamp done of it to accommodate the new program requirements for MS4 permits for level 2s.
Okay.
So
Are y'all
infrastructure
familiar
committee
with-
that?
Okay, great. I didn't want to throw you.
I'm slightly, no means an expert, but we got a bunch
Yeah,
of drainage guys
okay,
that
perfect.
they do that.
So we'll get a meeting together once the contract with Jacob and his firm is signed, and we'll get together after that.
With the infrastructure
With the
committee, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Moving on to agenda item 8, attorney report.
We do not have anything additional for you all, but I do not believe, I think we skipped over the minutes, so maybe we can go back to the minutes and you can approve.
Oh, I will. At the very end, I promise I'll go right
Okay,
back there.
thanks. So unless anyone
You've got
has
nothing on 8.
questions for me,
Yes, I do have a question for you. Did you send the second notice on Blazing Star?
I did, yes.
Any?
No response.
Did the green card come back?
We sent it regular mail this time too. I'll confirm with the green card. Let me talk. Yeah, we should have done both. Let me confirm with Tammy on the green card though tomorrow. I don't think it came back last time, if I recall correctly.
I think so.
That's why you
I think
did
it
this.
did. Yeah.
Do either you, Kelly, or David feel a need to go into executive session?
No.
I have nothing to discuss in executive session either, so that was agenda item 9
And 10.
and 10. And let us go back to agenda item
2.
2 for the meeting minutes. This was the consent agenda. I think we're going to have to pull the consent agenda. I'm sorry, Cole. I make a motion that we move to remove from this consent agenda the minutes for March 15th, 2023, because I have not finished them.
Second then.
Then all that's left is a motion to approve the minutes for March 1st, March 8th, March 22nd, September 6th, and September 13th.
I move so. Okay.
And I noticed, Cole, that the minutes from December of '22 and October of '22, they're not published either.
Which months? Can you email me which
I will.
month and I'll take a
I
look and
think
see.
it's probably, I think that we've emailed y'all about them before, because we didn't have anything for them.
I know we said some July 22.
We do have them, I've sent them forward.
Okay.
But I will get back with you. As soon as I finish this last one for Gabby, I'm gonna go through again, and I caught those when I
Yeah, and
back a
if
year.
you keep Gabby CC'd on, your dialogue, at least she can keep me looped in with them too. That way we can kind of look internally to make sure. All right, thanks.
Okay. We're gonna get those minutes done before this calendar year ends. So David gave the motion on the consent agenda, minutes minus the 15th of March. Did I get a second?
I have it where you gave the motion and David seconded.
Oh, that was for pulling March 15th.
But then you made the motion to approve.
Oh.
Yeah, I
the
just did
additional
one big.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good, that's fine.
Yeah.
Then we need a vote. All in favor? Everything.
Thank you.
Okay, so that brings us to item 11 on the agenda, other matters before the board. Discussion about any items to include on a future agenda.
Cole, were you able to review that deed receipt? You're already nodding.
I owe you that review. I can work on that. I had a pretty busy
This one you're,
month, so let me
Yes.
work on that, and I'll put it onto our format. I should get you an answer by the end of this week. I can review it and put it into our form.
As long as we can discuss it next month.
Absolutely.
Okay.
so that would go on next month's agenda. And we're going to also include discussion on the refund checks. They won't happen next month, but the rest of the board will be made aware, and I'll prepare the notice to the customers what they're receiving and why.
Yeah, we'll leave that on the agenda.
Do you have a contract for, never mind, I found it.
Yeah, they should have in that packet. There's a sheet that's like a letter that they'll send to your old auditor for them to release the files. Yeah,
That's this one?
that's that one.
It
And then-
needs a signature?
Please. And then the Evergreen letter is the first one. The 1295 is just for records.
Okay, here you go, Cole. All right.
Thank you.
That one's done, that one's done, you can have that back.
Thank you.
Then the next meeting date is November 15th, and we did schedule the future meeting for December to be the 13th.
Correct.
That's everything on the agenda. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Move to
Second.
adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, all in favor?
Bye.
Adios.
It's a record.
Did we make it?
Okay.
9:30. See, it wasn't that bad, only 3 hours, and we covered a lot.
Is that a short record or a long record?
Short. But we did have a lot of input from our accountant, which normally they don't attend, so, you know, if you subtract out Lisa's hour, then we're 2 hours.
Okay, if it goes 3 hours.